All right. All right. All right. Enough of the music. Enough of the music. Enough of the music. No, enough. Enough, I say. Ooh. Welcome. Welcome to a Wednesday stream. It is July 8th, 2026. It is 6:42 p.m. and we are live. We are live. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to actually do a Wednesday stream, but I figured there's just so much that's been happening that I gotta, right? That's why we're here. That's why we have gone live today. And to a little housekeeping, I will be gone from starting next week. So I'll be gone from the 16th until the 21st. So I'll probably try to get some videos up in the interim. I'm gonna add a bot one of these days on ping live streams. You should. You absolutely should. Drug money. Hey, all right. Okay, all right. Somebody, every stream you've been in, all you do is talk about random like shit happening, and I appreciate the energy, but you gotta stop. Like at this point, I feel like you're just some weird troll. So you can use today to prove to me that you're not just some random bot person who just says shit. I'm trying to get you to wake up. You don't need to get me to wake up, okay? But I'm not going to talk about shit people have known for literal decades. Drug money used to big election, dude. We use drug money to funnel insurgencies in around the world, okay? I don't need you to do this though, okay? I will bring up the topics I want to bring up. It is not your job to come into the chat and bring stuff like that. System of the Down. Okay, so a massive popular group talked about it and nothing changed. So you think a streamer who has 19 viewers concurrently at the moment is going to shake the system? Did I not just explain to you that I'm fully aware this happens? I don't need to be woken up. I'm probably more aware about shit than you are. So again, knock that shit off or you're done. Okay? I don't need you to come in here. If I want opinions, I will ask about that. I was not leading my conversation towards, hey, did you guys know that drugs are used to fund wars? We're good. Thank you. Okay. Anyways. Fuck. Like I was saying, or going to say. A lot of things have been happening. A lot of things have been happening in the world of technology. All right? Not in the world of fucking drug use or whatever. In the world of technology. And I recently put out a video talking about this. Actually, I put out a couple videos. I put up actually a lot of videos. Hello, by the way, everyone. Yes, I put out a lot of videos within the last couple of weeks. Kind of, not to toot my own horn, but kind of calling this shit happening. And as usual, never wrong, just too early. I put out a video today, and a couple of you guys saw it. Gonna need you guys to get those numbers up for me, all right? These are important topics I am talking about. But one point in the video I want to highlight is the end of it where I talk about how you're not going to get new games anymore and how they're trying to be IP safe, because holy shit, the stuff I just found out, I'm like, yeah, it's true. They're trying to just be safe. It's going to be boring. Things are going to be boring right now. Not here though. Things are always fun here. Like, look at this. We have fun over here. Look at this fun nails. I swear on my mama's grave. Well, only about like 1,000 of you guys listen to it. So I'm gonna need about like 4,000 more people to be listening to this shit, okay? I know you guys love it when I debunk grifters. You guys love it when I do that shit, and I will keep doing that. But you also have to understand the big picture why we do this. I watch all the videos, as you should. Hi, I'm new here on your channel. Thank you. I'm also, by the way, I stream on both Twitch and YouTube under the same name, so feel free to go to either or. But if you're looking at the screen, you can see everything happening here. Steam big picture. Well, big picture here is that capitalism bad, right? Big picture here is capitalism ruins innovation. But I put this out, July 3rd, I was talking about Sony. But this morning, also the last bit that pissed me off, why he would defend a corporation. I thought gamers were against corporations. No, that's the point I'm getting at too. Gamers are pro-establishment. That's what people are starting to realize now. Like a lot of the big gamers in this space, the Roach Kings, the even YouTubers, they're pro corporatization. They're pro bootlicking. They are, because they don't really care. And so I'm gonna just show you just a segment of the video, and I think I nailed it where I paused it. Losing to a dog in Chess Dog. This is like people falling for those YouTube apology videos where it's like, hi, I'm a non-black person who's 30 years old, and I didn't know I couldn't say the N-word, but you know what? I took some time. I'm listening. I'm turning it up. I'm learning, and I just hope in the future we can move past this, and I can show you guys how much I've changed. Which is why I'm going to take a 2-week break from streaming. I'm gonna go into rehab. I'm gonna read some Malcolm X, and it'll be all Gucci. Like, this is the shit they're falling for. They admitted their mistakes. So fucking what? Does that erase that's on your end? 3,200 people are losing their jobs for their mistakes through no fault of their own. 1,600 people already lost their jobs. Half of the id team's already gone. Yep. Do you think her saying whoopsie doopsies, we're gonna reset? Well, she was dealt a shit hand. Then why aren't the people who made those decisions being fired? Why aren't people taking less money? Why aren't people trying to keep these people here? Like, it's why isn't Blaze this? And I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Wait, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point. And I didn't know I couldn't say the N-word. They're all knowledge. I made a good point here, and I can't find it. Hold on, wait. The people who shush. Just because Xbox is losing money doesn't mean, like, this shit is insane. Especially the part where she's like, we're gonna focus on and the companies that she mentioned. Here we go. The teams that she mentioned. It's just Halo. It's Call of Duty. It's like Gears of War because of Xbox Studios. Like it's fucking Minecraft and like Candy Crush. That's your focus going forward? That's insane. Like, I rather you not have done this. Honest to God. Honest to God. God, I feel like I'm going insane. I am going insane, actually. This just making me insane. Maybe I'm so brain broke. Studios that produce bangers. Like, here we go. Here's the point I'm going to make. Anyone who likes video games. Because what I read was 3,200 people from multiple studios, including studios that produce bangers, like the Doom series, are losing half their staff. You know those companies who made smaller, more interesting games like Compulsion, like with South of Midnight, and before we have a few and Contrast? Yep, gone. Hey, you know Double Fine, who's never really made like huge numbers, but again, interesting, creative games that, you know, not for everyone, still has their own value. Boop, gone. Oh, I'm sorry, they're independent now, and don't worry, they'll definitely be funded. And they'll be around forever. I mean, one could hope for Compulsion, but this is a sign that Xbox is no longer going to put out, in my opinion, interesting shit. We're just gonna get more Elder Scrolls. We're gonna get what I know people say that's good, but like we're only gonna get Elder Scrolls and Fallouts. That's it. But that's just not doing nothing else. Too risky. Nah, that part right there. That part right there. Where I said, but that's just not doing anything else. Too risky. Just Fallout and Elder Scrolls. By the way, cool. My skin, I just have a pretty tight regimen. That's it. I mean, sunscreen, and then I have my my CeraVe. That's it. 2 things, and my diet. But look, what I said right there, right, about how they're not doing anything new. This is why. No mud mask? Nah, I don't need to do that shit. But this is why I said that. Well, I shouldn't say this is why, because I'm literally I put this video out before this announcement was made. But I found out also after I posted this video that this was happening. And it's pissing me off. Let's read this together, shall we? Let's read this together, shall we? Hold on. I think a lot of bootlickers don't view video games as a form of art, similar to people who own like big budget action films and watch in the. Oh no, you're completely correct. I also mentioned in that video that you guys should watch that they just become consumers. There's no critical thought. There's no empathy there. It's a pretty long video. It's like half an hour, but I think it's a solid video. Dean Takahashi. Dean Takahashi. You guys might recognize this name as the guy who did Cuphead really, really poorly. Right? But he also writes. He's a journalist. He's a journalist first before he's a gamer. So this part's talking about what I mentioned in my video about how there's 3,200 jobs and half of them already gone and the rest are pending layoffs, right? But then he goes into more details about id. At least 92 of the 105 full-time employees or so were cut, or more than 50% of the staff, according to what I've heard. There are conflicting numbers on social media, and there were some others associated with id that were also cut. But that came as a surprise to many, considering the pioneering studio had one of the biggest properties in Xbox hit portfolio in the reinvigorated Doom franchise. Those former employees say the travesty of the Xbox layoffs done in a rush are evident in who was chosen when the axe came. It's a bloodbath, said one former employee. I was blindsided by it, the scale of it. Now, in my video, I go about this section when I talk about people online who are specifically saying it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Here, I'll do you guys a favor. We'll watch part of the video again so you guys know listen, I'm on my shit, okay? I'm on my shit. Y'all should never doubt me with my intuition, okay? I won't undersell 3,200 layoffs. That's awful. However, no studios being shuttered, independent teams are given some funding, and Single State of Decay being finished are big dubs in today's cold industry. This is underselling the 3,200 layoffs, dog. You gave this shit a sentence and went to talk about how no studios are being shuttered. They're being effectively shuttered, just not by Microsoft. They're out in the cold.
Keep spitting.
Only 2 of them have secured funding. Independent teams are given some funding, not fucking Arcane, who are making Blade, not Compulsion, not Double Fine. The most striking thing about Oscar Sharma's tweet isn't the 1,300 layoffs, it's everything she acknowledges. It's ignoring the 3,200 layoffs. This is an actual W reset. No games announced are being canceled. No studios got shut. They got new owners. No, like only 2 of them did. Xbox now has a CEO controlling everything through and through, which they should have already had.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, by the way.
Nowhere near as bad as insides are hyping up to be. Like, it is bad. How does one manage to do this without closing a single studio? They fired 3,200 people. So yeah, like I said, watch the video. It's only half an hour. You guys can do it when you're in your car ride or whatever. But I was talking about this before it happened. It's a bloodbath. Half of a studio, half of id Software is gone. Like gone. They released DLC for Doom to Dark Ages and now they're gone. id Software was vulnerable in part because it was between two major games. Just yesterday, it has shipped Revelations, a DLC for Doom to Dark Ages. The cut came as id's team was toying with different game ideas, including a John Wick-style original game called Fury, a new game in the Perfect Dark franchise, and a multiplayer co-op version of Doom. It's not clear which game, if any, the remaining team can do. They were going to try to do another Perfect Dark, which, given the talent of the people working on Doom, them doing Perfect Dark would have been fucking sick. And also a John Wick style game called Fury. We don't have that many John Wick style games. And now this is gone. There's no way they're going to be like, hey, do Perfect Dark. Try to bring back Perfect Dark or have your original IP. No. You're Bethesda. You're doing this. You're id. Go back to doing what you always do. Hell, they might even get rid of most of these people and just put them in different departments and pre-existing companies. Because if half their staff is gone, what possible game are they making? Are they planning on hiring more people? Because if they're planning on hiring more people, why would you fire the people you have here, right? So my tinfoil hat on, right? I think they're going to just break apart id and just send people to different departments in Microsoft. People to Bethesda, people to Xbox Game Studios. That's what I think is going to happen. And then the rest of this is just like about the history of id and all the stuff they did for gaming and how legendary they are. And now it's just, they're hollow. Like, this is it. As far as Doom goes, there were proposals to multiplayer, co-op, and more DLC. One of the deals was to bring back old guns from previous games like Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. Fortunately, there were a lot of veterans to do such work as id Software largely escaped previous Microsoft layoffs, but perhaps not anymore. That's another thing. People are listening out on this too. You are losing experience. You are losing the knowledge of people who've been in the industry for decades, of people who know how to use id tech in a very, a deep and profound way. You're losing all of this because half of your people are gone. Under the Federal Warren Act, the employees get 60 days notice of any layoff, but union employees laid off do not know what their severance packages are yet because it has yet to be negotiated. Some of the id team was being farmed out to work on other titles like Blade at Arcane or Wolfenstein 3 at Machine Games. High-level leaders such as Matt Booty or Asher Sharma weren't seen at id. So like I said, they're probably doing, they're going to farm them out to other companies. I have no regrets in technology that we made and the games we released. We kicked ass for a small studio, people pumping out AAA title. We did genre-defining titles that we rebooted after it was effectively considered dead. I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of the studio. I'm proud of the people that are still, that are there still, and the people who aren't. And this is facts. Like, they did, in fact, put out fucking bangers. They did. It is not a huge studio. This is the part that kills me, though. This is the part that kills me right here. Right? As for the codename Fury, it was a project the game director and studio co-director Hugo Martin proposed and passed as an original IP. It had elements of sci-fi noir and Louisiana Chicago gangsters. It had a modern cyberpunk feel to it. I feel like it. A cyberpunk-like feel. I have dyslexia. It had a concept called Gung Fu, which is okay. Gung Fu comes from really Equilibrium when it's gun kata, but that's also like John Wick and shit too. So I guess that's where that getting inspiration from. It was a chance to go beyond Doom, but moving away from the core franchise is not exactly what Microsoft wants to do now. Like I said, the team was also considering doing a game based on Perfect Dark, the franchise that hasn't had new editions since Perfect Dark Zero, in 21 years. The studio got wind of the idea one day when someone made a presentation in a glass office. And the initiative Xbox studio in Santa Monica struggled for as much as 7 years to make a Perfect Dark game before the initiative shut down. That's only last year. Evidently, the Perfect Dark game was available since id Software could tap the IP of other Microsoft properties if they weren't being worked on by others. Concept art was in the works. I would have loved a Perfect Dark game done by id Software, but we're never going to get that shit now. Because why would we? Microsoft just told you they're not doing that shit anymore. They're playing it fucking safe. And to really, really hammer that point, and I'll go back to the chat because I've been talking for a bit. To like really, really, really hammer that point in, there's a certain studio. There's a certain studio that has decided to go back to making a certain game. And that studio is Obsidian. You guys remember Obsidian, right? How they made games like Avowed and obviously the Outer Worlds and a bunch of other shit, right? Well, guess what? Guess what, gamers? Microsoft reportedly cancels Avowed sequel as Obsidian focuses on a Fallout game. The Fallout New Vegas open has not escaped Microsoft's Xbox layoffs unscathed. Oh, also, they're doing Pillars of Eternity. Developer behind Pillars of Eternity, Outer World, and Fallout New Vegas is being reshuffled part of Xbox's larger reset and mass layoffs across game businesses. Bloomberg reports that multiple studio projects have been canceled, including a sequel to Avowed, and Obsidian will now focus on a new Fallout game. Hey, so remember in my video that you guys definitely saw where people were saying no games were canceled, and I said no publicly announced games were canceled, and there could have been games that were being cooked on, that were being worked on, that were canceled. Avowed 2, gone. Perfect Dark, gone. Their Fury game that they're working on, did they get officially green but working on? Done. Lots of games were being worked on, and they're going to be done, kaput. Josh Schroyer, the director of Fallout New Vegas and medieval adventure game Pentiment, is reportedly leading development on a new game. Bloomberg previously reported that Microsoft wants to focus its studios on successful franchises like Elder Scrolls, Doom, Wolfenstein, and Fallout. Getting a Fallout game out is particularly given that Fallout 76 and multiplayer survival game 2018 is technically the most recent release, and Fallout has now been adapted to a successful streaming series on Amazon Prime. The changes to the direction is also being paired with layoffs. Bloomberg reports that Obsidian is laying off around a quarter of its workforce. Based off Warren layoff notices, Gamefly Rice, the studio is specifically cutting 52 employees, 43 who work in Irvine, and 9 in-state remote employees. Sister Xbox studio and Doom developer id Software. We already talked about this right here. And yeah, there we go. So, again, like I was saying in the past, like I said in my most recent video, I'm going to keep referencing it because I was correct. Microsoft is no longer going to put out, in my opinion, cool or interesting games. Right? It's going to be the safest bets possible. You saw right here, it's going to be Elder Scrolls, Doom, Wolfenstein, Fallout. So Elder Scrolls, that's Bethesda, Fallout, Bethesda. Bethesda's not making 2 games. Bethesda's not making 2 games. It's going to be Elder Scrolls, and it's going to be Fallout. No Starfield, no anything like that. And side note, I know a lot of gamers online will be like, good, this thing sucked. You know, a lot of games sucked in the beginning, even though I don't think these games actually suck. It's just a bunch of culture war bullshit. Like, Avowed is not some terrible, awful game. Like, it's weird, oh, this game sucked its ass. But, like, games usually improve. Like, GTA, the original GTA, was a top-down game that a lot of people did not play. If that GTA would have persisted to this day, it would have been dead. But they got a chance to improve. And I would say this, I don't care who disagrees with me. The first Uncharted game was boring as fuck. It benefited coming out in the generation it came out in. It was very derivative. It was very boring. You just went behind shit, shot, got into cover, shot. You could tell when you're gonna get into a firefight. It cover system. It was just like it was kind of whatever. It bored me a bit. But guess what? They got to improve on that, and then they made Uncharted 2, which you'd be an idiot to say is a bad game. And then they kept iterating and getting better and better and better. We aren't even allowing franchises to like find their footing. I know a lot of people didn't like Starfield. I get that. But you know what other series started off pretty shitty and got really, really, really good? The Witcher. Go back and play the original Witcher, like pre-patches, all that stuff. Not that great. Really solid story. Gameplay-wise, wasn't that good. Same thing happened with Witcher 3. Same thing happened more recently with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk launched. You all know how Cyberpunk launched. Now look at it. No Man's Sky. You saw how that launched. Now look at it. It's like no one's allowed to be okay at the beginning and get better. It's just, oh well, this sucks. This is terrible. This is awful. And now look at these games people are revering. Now No Man's Sky is super beloved. But just that was a little side tangent. But I get so tired of this because people are gonna say like, oh, it's a good thing Obsidian did this shit because their other games were ass and boring. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. The Outer Worlds, fantastic. The Outer Worlds is fantastic. I love the humor in it. I love how immersive it was. You could really kind of play it how you want to play it, right? And now they're going to be like, well, it's not Fallout. You people do not care about games. I realize that too. You guys only care about IPs, which is why Microsoft is doing this shit, by the way. Let Obsidian cook. Obsidian does do good games. They do. It may not have the Fallout name on it, but Outer Worlds is better than pretty much any Fallout game outside of New Vegas. You guys should actually play the Outer Worlds. It's really good. And the sequel's really good too. But people won't play it because it doesn't have the Fallout name. So now they're working on Fallout. And now they're going to be basically putting Outer Worlds DNA into Fallout. But watch, everyone's like, oh, it's great because it's Fallout. Like, no, that's bullshit. Like, it's just names. It's just names. Well, at least they were able to release Starfield. Todd would want to make a game for 20 years. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. People aren't going to realize this. But when you are forced to not played Outer Wilds, I admit, in fairness, I don't like the Fallout New Vegas either. Damn. Crazy. But like, do you guys remember what happened to Kojima? Have you guys? I'm gonna assume a couple of you guys have played the Metal Gear games. I haven't played every single one. I'm not gonna be like I'm a Metal Gear super fan, but I played a couple of them. But you could tell that Kojima wanted to be done with Metal Gear Solid 4. He wanted to be. Oh shit! I haven't heard that in a while. Still didn't play Outer Worlds 2. Is it worth the play? Did you like Outer Worlds 1? Because if you did it, then I can't fully recommend it because it's the same kind of humor and storytelling. Didn't Obsidian work on Fallout New Vegas? Yes. Well, to be fair, a version of Obsidian Entertainment worked on that. But if we just said, Obsidian just lost half of their employees. So I don't even understand how they're going to put them to work on this game when half of the people who made that game are gone. But whatever, right? Didn't play Outer Worlds 1, but I bought 2 and Valve. Never played Obsidian game. Obsidian games are good. Like, I'm not a big fan of Grounded just because I don't like survival games, but it's a good game. These are good games. They're a good company. They're a good company. Kojima went on to make the game he wanted to make. I know Death Stranding stuff. Everyone's cup of tea, but such a damn good series. I am actually going to start playing Death Stranding. But that's my point exactly. Kojima, you could kind of tell after like Metal Gear Solid 4 was his magnum opus for that series, right? That was like it. It tied up everything. Character arcs came to a close. Things were final, which is why Metal Gear Solid 5, it's not even Solid Snake anymore, right? It's basically a prequel. It's a big boss prequel. But you aren't really seeing how limiting it is to have someone just work on one series for fucking ever. That's why when he made his new franchise, he did a completely opposite thing. He went Death Stranding. Still weird, still very Kojima, but not Metal Gear, right? He's doing OD. Like, he's doing so many other types of games now. Like, he did what's it called? I believe Snatcher, and then he did the Metal Gear series, basically. And he did the Metal Gear series for like fucking 30 years. And then he's like, okay, I'm doing something different. I'm doing Death Stranding. Okay, I'm doing OD. Okay, I'm working with these people. I'm doing this. I'm hitting here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Because it is not creatively fulfilling. And I think as a player, you can start to feel that. Metal Gear Solid 5 production was fucked. And look what happened afterwards. Konami just take the name and make it a... What was that game called? Metal Gear Survive, right? How'd that do? Did that feel like a necessary continuation of the Metal Gear series? No. It felt like a cash grab. When things start to get formulaic, that's when people really complain. But people now, especially gamers now, think that, oh, if everything returns to how it was, gaming will be saved again. I'm like, if everything returns to how it was, gaming is going to die a creative death. Like, if you're complaining about all these games being slop and all these games being derivative, wait until Bethesda only makes 2 types of games. Wait until Activision can literally only make Call of Duty games, or Blizzard could only do Diablo and fucking World of Warcraft, which I guess at this point they kind of do. But like, wait until these companies just do one thing. Like, I love Gears of War. I do. I was talking to my coworker about this. I love Gears of War. I played every Gears game besides Tactics. I love Gears. Gears of War is a it is a relic of a bygone era. Okay? It is a relic of a bygone era. It's 2006, 2008 gaming. They're going to have to change things a lot to make it fit in a more modern sense, which some people are going to hate, right? But I'm like, I don't think you can be successful if Gears of War is like your main, right? And this might be a crazy thing to say too, but I kind of feel the same about Halo. Like, I know the Halo series has lots of lore in terms of like the books universe, but as far as gaming goes, how many games do you need to play as Master Chief? How many games do you play as Master Chief before it's the same old, same old? There's been, what, like 6 of them? Halo 3, 4, 5, like the 6. And then now they're doing Campaign Evolved, which is just like a reboot, sort of, right? Because it's like, I think telling new stories with Master Chief at the very least, it's kind of fucking hard. Because you're just kind of treading familiar ground. There's not much to Master Chief now because you know his character. You've played with him for 5 games. This is why I think it's smart of like what Sony Santa Monica is doing, where they're like, okay, we paid you. You've had Kratos for a bunch of games. We didn't want to be crazy burnt out on him. Let's give him a break. Let's put someone else on here so we can attack Kratos again, recharged, and not feel like it's like a mandatory game to be made, right? Like this. Remember, this is a creative process. You want to be excited to make this game. I'm not too certain that Obsidian is excited to make this game, another Fallout game, when they were literally working on their own shit. I don't know how you guys, if you guys have ever done like almost like an asshole, but if you've done in like a creative endeavor and you're really passionate about something, like a passion project, and people telling you stop doing that, go do this. It's like, hey, I'm really passionate about this. I really want to do this. This is my bread and butter. I really want to focus on this. I'm having a good flow. I'm feeling it. And they're like, no. Go do mandated first person shooter game. Go do this now. Josh Sawyer is, I think, yeah, I know he directed the original one too. But like, all this yapping I'm doing, right? It's just say like I do understand it from that perspective. Like, That's soul crushing, man. Just having to do the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Like, that sucks. And speaking of more things that suck, and then we'll get to watch some videos and do some reacts, right? I don't be miserable all day. But remember how I was talking about Sony? Remember that? Remember how I was like, "Hey, Sony's doing some fuck shit." If we don't remember, here's a quick little refresher. This is again from the same video. I covered a lot of shit in this video. Everybody's interested hard. What is stopping Sony from making it a rental? I'm talking about like Sony going completely digital, no more discs, right? Have no recourse. I can do whatever I want, okay? So what's stopping Sony from just being like, all right, bitch, next time you want to load up into a game, you gotta pay $5, a $5 monthly fee. They might charge you a storage fee. It may sound insane, but so did paying $100 for video games, or $80 for video games, or going discless. This is the thinking of someone who doesn't understand how insanely capitalistic our society is. Of course, Sony is going to try some fuck shit. That is the reason why they're going. PlayStation Digital Only feature makes Sony's dynamic pricing harder to ignore. When Sony officially ending disc production for PS5 games in 2028, hurtling us towards an all-digital future, it's worth remembering that PlayStation Maker recently introduced a new pricing model that is all the more worrying in the wake of this news. Back in 2026, reports surfaced that PlayStation had unleashed dynamic pricing in various regions from Brazil to North America. This new model changed the prices you see on the PlayStation Store for a PS5 game, depending on several factors, including your gaming habits, like when you last logged in, location, and PSN account details, like how old it is. For example, one Brazilian could get the action retro game Stellar Blade for $39.89, while another may snatch it up for $20.99. According to reports from both Eurogamer and Inside Gaming, this pricing model impacted first and third-party games. Astrobot, developed by PlayStation-owned studio Team Asobi, saw wildly different prices as noted by Cheap Ass Gamer. Stellar Blade, on the other hand, was developed by South Korean studio Shift Up and published by Sony. The dynamic pricing model is quite concerning now that PlayStation is effectively killing physical games in 2028. Though they do go on sale occasionally, digital games aren't always cheaper than their physical counterparts, and because local governments require that the company collect sales tax on digital goods, you're sometimes paying the same, if not more, for a digital game. This has resulted in class action lawsuits in both California and Netherlands. So I'm not going to show this whole video because I do want you guys to watch it. But doing this, having Sony have full control of the entire distribution model, means that Sony gets to do whatever they want. Because, like I said in the video, you have no recourse. And so, on top of that, there have been people who've been very, very upset at Sony, right? Rightfully so. They've been really upset at Sony. They've been telling them through petitions, through commenting on their posts, whatever they could do, canceling their PS Plus subscription. And then I saw this shit. Analysts speaking to IGN. Let's go here. They now wait for the storm to pass. PS5 owners are canceling PlayStation Plus subscriptions to protest Sony killing discs, but analysts said it won't make any difference. Sony's not going to reverse the decision. PS5 owners are canceling their PlayStation Plus subscriptions in protest of Sony's controversial decision to stop releasing games on physical discs. This is what we're talking before. There's drawn a huge amount of criticism from PlayStation owners. A high-profile petition calling on Sony to reconsider the decision has now reached over 200,000 signatures. Don't kill the disc, okay? But speaking to the IGN, Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of Japanese game industry consultancy firm Katan Games, suggested that even if 500,000 people canceled their PlayStation Plus subscription, it would just be a drop in the ocean for Sony, which is not going to change its mind. I sympathize with physical media fans, but Sony will not reverse this decision, Toto told IGN. They, of course, knew what the online reaction would look like, and they now wait for the storm to pass. Sony has over 120 million active PlayStation users, he continued. Around 50 million people subscribe to PlayStation Plus. As a thought experiment, let's say 500,000 cancel in protest. That would be just 1% of that business gone. Of course, not enough to Sony to start rethinking. Digital is just too lucrative. Of course, digital downloads now dominate video game sales, and Sony can be seen as simply reflecting the prevailing taste of its customers. But as Toto states, there's also a huge financial advantage to this move, which saves on manufacturing and distribution costs, ensures it no longer pays a portion of sales to retailers, and captures more platform fees on the sale of third-party games via the PlayStation Store. And this is the breakdown economics of it, right? For a first-party PlayStation game such as Last of Us, Sony will only keep around 65% of the money from a physical copy, and around 30% going to the retailer, and roughly another 5% on manufacturing costs. Meanwhile, for a physical copy of a third-party game such as Activision published Call of Duty, Sony will get a licensing fee of likely around 15%. For digital downloads, however, the margins are much higher. For a first-party game sold via Sony's own PlayStation Store, the company obviously keeps 100% of the revenue. For third-party games, Sony gets a 30% cut, so roughly $21 for a $70 game. So all of this capitalism, right? It's just for money, right? And I'm not stupid. I understand that businesses are in it for themselves, but I feel like people aren't understanding that businesses are in this shit for themselves. Because I were seeing people talking about like, hey, just as long as Sony doesn't, delete my shit, I don't care. Now, I posed this hypothetical in the video that I'm probably going to be referencing a lot this stream. So I will just, I would just put this fucking video in the chat, because I'll put the video in the chat so you guys can watch it. But let's do another thought experiment, right? Let's say you are part of PlayStation's ecosystem. You are a Sony fanboy, fangirl, fan person, whatever you want to be called. You buy a game. And then let's say it's a third-party game. And the game is delisted now because Sony doesn't have a license to it anymore. You would think, like in other games, if they're delisted, you maybe not be able to buy that on that storefront. But if you already bought the game, you'd own it, right? No. Because Sony has already set a precedent for this, which is why I was so confused by people acting like this is fine. 500 films distributed by Studio Canal was removed from Sony's library. And not just like, oh, you can't buy the movie anymore, but if you owned the movie, they took the movie from your library that you paid for. They took the movie and did not offer a refund because of licensing. So what happens if these are not first-party Sony games, but third-party games, and some bullshit happens that, okay, we can't have this guy on storefront anymore. You pay for this game. Now it's gone. Other digital storefronts like Steam and especially GOG, once you own the game, you have it. They can't reach into your library and take it from you, right? But Sony can, because Sony owns the entirety of the ecosystem. You could have your account locked by Sony. I believe Colin Moriarty had his account hacked by Sony. Not by Sony, had his account hacked and like shit deleted. There's no recourse. If your account gets banned from Sony, you bought all those games, they're like, you know what? Your account's banned and now you can't access our stuff. Everything's digital. Like, that's the thing people aren't focusing on. People are like, oh, but when has that happened? Like, it literally happened with movies. It hasn't happened with games because Sony didn't have the power to do that. Now, after 2028, they will have the power to do that because there's no disc version. And I'm so tired of people acting as if disc-based games don't exist anymore and that every game is downloadable. You can still play games off disc. People still put games on discs. Just because you play like Fortnite, which requires an online connection, doesn't mean every game does that. That's what people are like failing to understand. Yes, there is a percentage of video games out there that require a constant online that do like ID checks or whatever. But there are also a ton of games that don't do that. Somewhere in my house, I have a copy of Bloodborne. I have a PS4. I have Bloodborne inside that PS4. No matter what, as long as I have that physical disc and I have a PlayStation, I can play Bloodborne. Because Sony can't, even if Sony's not like, hey, we're no longer making that game, they can't come into my house, take my disc and snap it. But digitally, they can. That is the concern. They can just do this. And you can't do shit about it. You paid for a movie. Movies aren't cheap. You paid for a movie. And they went into... So they can also bridge this too. They did it when copies were stolen and sold early. For certain games, yeah, but not for every single game. Again, they're not going to be able to brick my fucking PS2 copy of Crash or PS2 copy of Final Fantasy, right? But the main concern here is they can do this now. In the past, that wasn't really a concern because there wasn't really an option. And I saw some people saying, well, why would they do that? That would hurt their ecosystem. They could charge you, like I said, they could charge you a fee. They could charge you a fee to access your game. And they could call it some bullshit like online storage fee. They could do that. Companies exist to make money. As long as there's not a significant backlash, they will do it. Because what's the harm? Got ability to being guys leave, have a good stream. You know, in spite of the horrible news, goddamn the last few weeks are miserable. I know. Have a good rest, but I know. It's been misery. But that's gaming now, baby. But despite all of this, right? What I want people to focus on is the fact that Sony is not the only company. Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar, like I said before, has created a permission structure, right? You're going to see the shift, obviously to pure digital, but also a shift to everything being effectively a rental service. You are now renting the license and I can revoke it at any moment. You are now renting access to your PS6. You're now renting access to your next Nintendo game or system or your next Xbox, if you buy those, next Xbox system. Because if you want to play, you got to pay. And there are still console fanboys. I've seen them all the time. They still exist. There are people, I've shown you, who will be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm buying that GTA 6 game at full price, and I'm spending $100, and I'm happy that they went fully digital. You're gonna see that, and once that happens, everyone's gonna do it. There are some people who go, well, certain games won't be able to do that. You have no idea what you're talking about. Like people are going, oh well, yeah, GTA can do it, but like if like this studio does it. And if they do, like, what if the next, what's a popular franchise? What if the next Call of Duty games, like we're doing it a $80 base game and $100 gives you access to multiplayer? What if they did that? Do you think people would stop playing Call of Duty? What if Fortnite said, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to start charging you guys for like extra character slots. What if Minecraft started doing that? Like this is why when people have new technologies and they like create laws, they think about stuff like this. Like, hey, how can this technology be abused? we should try our best to circumvent this so we don't have to worry about that. But now we aren't doing that shit. Like, we used to get physical copies of games with digital codes, but also physical shit, like art books and music and stuff. But now it's like, here's your $100 deluxe version. Here's a physical case, which is weird to me because then you're still paying for a physical. It's just not the CD, but the cover art, but whatever. That just has a digital code in it. Like, are you not paying for the paper too? Like, it's insane. But enough about me yapping about it. Let's get it professional. Let's get it professional here, okay? This is Jason Schreier talking about why PlayStation's killing discs despite fan revolt.
Hello, One Take Schreier here. You might have heard that PlayStation last week announced that it is discontinuing physical disc sales starting in 2028, and of course people were perfectly fine with that. A lot of calm reactions online, a lot of people just saying, well, okay, that's totally fine, PlayStation, moving on. No, that's not what happened. People freaked the F out. We saw a ton of outrage.
Hey, this was my recognition. I know, that's why I chose it. I do go into the Discord that you guys should all be at this point. I do chat in Discord when I have time. I work also, but when I have time, I chat and I look at the Rex all the time.
Petitions about it, a whole lot of people screaming that this is a horrible thing for customers, and there are a lot of negatives to this. I think that they've been detailed elsewhere. I won't rehash all of the bad parts of this decision. I think they're pretty clear. It's a problem for preservation not having discs anymore. Digital games can just be wiped out or changed with the press of a button. Remember when Destiny was altered to remove the voice of Peter Dinklage, and now you can never play that version again? That could happen with any digital game. No more used game market, no more borrowing games from friends or trading in games with friends. There's actually one thing that I will say that really,
you know what, I'm surprised I didn't really touch on that. But yeah, the secondary market, right? Like, the physical stores that sell games, are they going to just sell codes now? Is everyone going to be a fucking Funko Pop? When you go to Walmart or Best Buy, no more game section. At least in PlayStation, there's no more. Just here's a gift card. Like, here's a PSN card you guys can use to buy the digital games. Like, there was an ecosystem also built out this too. And yeah, the Bloodborne game that I have, it was from my friend who passed away. He let me borrow his copy. Basically, just gave it to me because he's never gonna play it again. This is obviously before he passed away, but like, it's a little sentimental the time I'm not playing it. But also, I used to be able to give my friends shit all the time. Like, now we can gift games digitally, but I still, like, hey, you have an Xbox? I have my old Xbox games. Here you go. Here's my old PS3 games. Here you go. You can try this out. And like Jason mentioned, you can play a game a way that was meant to be played, or in the original state. I low-key kind of missed the Peter Dinklage ghost. I'm not gonna lie. I think his interpretation of it was great. Just a weird person. Those wizards came from the moon. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. This is pretty much done for GameStop. Now your local game stores that sell retro games, that'll probably have a cushion. I mean, maybe, but like, I don't know, man. I just feel like I can only say it so many ways. Having an all digital feature with no option for physical is insane. You're never gonna own anything.
Personally, really bums me out about this news, which is that I am a humongous fan of libraries. And if you live in the United States, I'm speaking only about the United States. I don't really know what it's like, what libraries are like outside of the US, but if you live in the United States, chances are you have a library near you that offers you a ton of awesome services that you are not fully taking advantage of. I have two small children. I take them to to the library very often. They get books from there all the time. We spend a lot of time there. It's nice to just spend a hot summer day inside at the library checking out books, and they always have toys and stuff. And one of the things that I've never actually
sell video
used, but
games
I
at
know a
book.
lot of people appreciate at libraries, is that they have video game
Yeah.
collections. You can go to a library and borrow a PlayStation game, an Xbox game, a Nintendo game without spending anything. Oftentimes it's newish games that you can just get from a library.
This is
with
true.
this move to digital, that will no longer be possible. And that bums me out for a few reasons. One, because it's like that's a helpful way for lower income gamers to get new games, but also because anything that just takes away more inventory from libraries bums me out, because libraries.
But also, to touch more on the point he made, a lot of gamers are fucking just ghouls. There's no empathy. There's no understanding of other situations. A lot of people rely on physicals to play games. Like they just do, right? And now those people aren't going to have access to it. There's a new game coming out on PC and PlayStation 5. It's called Marvel Token. And you guys have probably seen it if you watch like fighting game footage or whatever. You literally cannot play this game in 132 countries because those countries don't have PSN, right? Marvel Token Fighting Souls. It's probably the top news. Yep, here we go. Marvel Token blocked in 132 countries, and it looks like PSN requirements are to blame. PlayStation Arc System Works Marvel Token Fighting Souls has been blocked in 132 countries. Fans of the upcoming tag team comic book fighting game have prepared to skip out on August 2026 launch after it was revealed that a long list of regions will be blocked via SteamDB. The full list of 132 countries include Afghanistan, Haiti, Serbia, Zimbabwe, Egypt, and more. Why Marvel Token has been blocked in these areas has not been explicitly stated, but fans think they figured out the cause. It just so happens that PlayStation Network is unavailable to access in any of these countries on the list. This is kind of similar to like Helldivers 2, right? And here's the thing. This is something that people weren't talking about when it came to going diskless. It is the fact that there are literal countries that do not have access to the PSN network, period. So what are they to do? What are they to do? Like what's their recourse? It's not even a question of will they buy it? They can't. If they're playing it on PS5, they can't. And if they're playing it on PC, they also can't because it's going to require a PSN to log in. And they can't make a PSN because the PSN is not available in these countries. If only there was a way for them to purchase the game physically and at the very least be able to play it offline. Like it's like actually why hasn't Sony expanded? Why hasn't Sony expanded? Like why haven't they expanded to these countries? So it's not available in places in Europe, in the Caribbean, Central South Asia, Africa. These restricted availabilities have caused significant friction, notably when Sony mandates PSN account linking for PC releases, resulting in regional game purchases being blocked in these unsupported areas. That is such bullshit. That is such bullshit. Gee, holy shit. So if I buy a game, if I'm in like Central Europe and I buy a game on Steam that's from PlayStation, I can't even use the game because I don't have a PSN account. That's fucking crazy.
Are already kind of critically underfunded and undersupported throughout this country. So hey, if you're watching this and you're mad about this whole situation, I implore you, go check out your library and borrow some things, because actually borrowing, the more you borrow, even though it seems like you're getting away with something by like taking books for free or games for free, the more you borrow from a library, the more support that library gets. So it's like a win-win for everybody if you go and use your local library as much as possible. But anyway, I digress. It's very clear to a lot of people why this is a bad thing, and I really think that one of the real critical flaws that Sony made here, the PlayStation made here, is announcing this change that in 2028 they're going to pivot from
a week after GTA 6
and just sell games digitally or in stores with a game key code, the way that Grand Theft Auto 6 is this fall. The flaw is not coupling that with some sort of upside for.
Is Tokon not getting a physical release? Let's check. It will, but only for the PS5. So if they're playing the game on PC, it still doesn't matter. If they're playing the game on PC, they can't play it. That's why they just said, fuck it, we're blocking you. And also, the people who have a PS5, yeah, it's a PS5 console exclusive. The people who do a PS5 won't be able to play it online, only offline, because they won't have access to a PSN network. My question is, if you live in a country that doesn't have access to PSN, then like, why do you have a PlayStation? Because like a lot of multiplayer games, like a lot of multiplayer games, like you want to play like Fortnite, that requires a PSN ID, no?
For players. If they had said, you know what, we're going to do this, but here's how we are going to discount those games for players. Here's why you're going to benefit from this. You're going to save more. Or here's our new program for allowing you to share games that you buy digitally, or own games forever that you buy digitally, or get refunds on games that you buy digitally. Anything coupled with that makes people feel like they're getting something out of this announcement instead of just losing a massive part of the gaming ecosystem, I think might have helped soften the blow. But
well, they are offering people a discount on PS Plus because people who are quitting. But other than that, and if they do offer some shit like Jason's saying now, it's just gonna come off as a appeasement and not like this is the original plan.
No, that's where they didn't do that, and here we are. PlayStation can no longer tweet anything without getting a massive
on their ass
backlash, just a kind of a nonstop barrage of negative responses, to the point where I saw they tweeted yesterday a preview for this upcoming game that looks really cool. What is it called? Blood of the Dawnwalker, Rise of the Dawnwalker, whatever it's called. I'll look this up. One Take Shire over here, like I said. The Blood of Dawnwalker. Not the best name, but the game looks really cool. Anyway, they tweeted this preview, and all of the responses were about the discs, to the point where I wonder how many external third-party publishers or other developers.
I love the fact that Jason Schreier decided to start doing YouTube videos where he's like, One Take Schreier, I'm not editing. You're not getting any B-roll footage. You're not getting any visuals besides my face and background. I low-key respect it. I can't do that. If you guys look at my face too long, you will, and don't get distracted, you will fall in love. And I can't have that. But it's nice that Jason can just do that. It's kind of like a throwback to like old school YouTube.
Are looking over at that and being like, so about this plan to post a blog on our game next week, could we maybe delay that a little while? So this is having disruptive effects for everybody. So let's see, what did they say? They said they basically didn't give much of a reason. They just said, as consumer preferences in the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical disc to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028, blah, 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 blah. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. I mean, everyone can read that and know that it's nonsense, because like, if you're taking away a choice from consumers, that is not aligning anyone. and even people who only play games digitally, who only buy games digitally, like this is not benefiting them in any way. It's an entirely PlayStation beneficial move only for PlayStation, only
because they're not going to pass off any of their savings onto the consumer. You're still going to be paying 70 to 80 to some places $100 for a game. And if they continue to use their price dynamic pricing, I should say, you might be paying more than someone else simply because you have a newer account. Or vice versa, they might be trying to reward new people who sign up for them by giving them lower price for games that you're paying full price for. And you wouldn't even fucking know.
For the people involved. And I want to get into that because I think that's an important part to understanding why this is happening, is understanding why PlayStation is doing this and understanding why it is so beneficial for PlayStation. By now, you've probably seen stats online. There are a lot of stats about how game habits have changed. People are still buying physical games, but for some publishers, it's a very small chunk of their population. For example, Capcom said in their most recent fiscal results that 93% of their sales for the most recent fiscal quarter,
digital,
third quarter of fiscal year 26, 93% was digital. That is largely because they're selling so many on PC where everything is digital. Not a lot of people are buying PC games on discs. I don't even know if most PC games are not sold on discs anymore. And by the way, I mean, I'm a PC gamer, so for me this is not really a relevant conversation, but I think a lot of people who do game on PC have found that the PC ecosystem and Steam offer enough benefits to being digital and enough just kind of feeling of.
That's what I was saying earlier too. Look, you guys know I'm obviously a majority PC gamer, right? You've seen me stream shit on my computer all the time. But like Jason said, the ecosystem when it comes to strictly PC is very different than that of consoles. Steam, if I don't like Steam, I can go to Epic. If I don't like Epic, I can go to GOG. If I don't like GOG, I can go to like a bunch of other storefronts. I can go to Itch.io. I can go to a lot of other places, right? And yeah, maybe I won't have access to every game under the sun, but there's still hundreds upon hundreds of games available on basically each platform. So you're not going to be wanting, especially because there's not really platform-specific games. Typically, if they have like an exclusive contract with, say, like Alan Wake did with Epic, you can also just go to like Remedy and launch it yourself, right? But all that being said, it's different for consoles. It's completely different for consoles. And as a PC player, I still think it's bullshit that people who want to have physicals of games can't get it. That fucking sucks.
Of ownership, you feel like you own your game on Steam. You feel like you can get refunds on Steam. There are enough Steam sales to make you feel like you're justified in buying games digitally. There is a little bit more of an upside, but of course, I mean, there's been a downside to that too. People have just gotten used to it. Also, PC has emulation, and PC is an open system, so the preservation issue is much less significant. PC games don't go obsolete the way that, I don't know, if the PlayStation 3 was digital only, you would have a hard time finding some PS3 games right now. Anyway, I digress. So getting back to the numbers. So Capcom, 93% digital. Sony has kind of said that like 85% of their game sales are digital. A lot of people are skeptical of those numbers because they also include digital only games. I think that there's some questions surrounding exactly if you are.
Just imagine if you're ever going forward that you love your retro PS games and you bought them digitally on your PS5. What if the next gen console threw you down the line, you have to rebuy a retro game again? I mean, that's what they do with remasters. Of course, it goes back to Maximilian stating facts about politics affecting gaming. I didn't talk about that yet, but I will talk about that after we finish watching this video, because he was correct, of course.
Looking at the latest AAA game like Saros or whatever, or not, maybe that's not a great example, the latest God of War or whatever, how many of those sales are actually physical? One chart I saw, this is from the analyst Daniel Ahmad, shows that physical software for PlayStation is on, this is all of PlayStation, all of PlayStation is on a very sharp decline, but it's still significant. 70 million units sold last year, so not nothing. EA has also said they've shifted to more digital. Nintendo is kind of in its own little space where they are selling a significant number on physical still, but it's getting closer to I believe they say that 54.6%. Yeah, that's the number that I'm looking at for fiscal year 26. So 54.6% of their software.
I think the reason why Nintendo has always been considered like its own separate thing, basically since the time of the Wii, is because Nintendo has removed itself from like the tech sector. Nintendo just makes games and consoles. Nintendo doesn't have like things outside of it. There's no Nintendo company that does like, oh, we actually own a bunch of web servers and people use our servers, or hey, we have computers, or this, and that. Nintendo just has that. But I also think the reason why physical sales are so high for Nintendo is because the storage capacity on most Nintendo consoles cannot keep up with the size of the games they're playing. Like most Nintendos don't come with like 2 terabytes, right, worth of storage space. It's like gigabyte. Like, let's see the Switch 2. Let's do Switch 2. Let's do storage size. The Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabyte internal storage, out of the box roughly 232. And you can expand it by buying SD cards to up to 2 terabytes. But if you were just buying a console, it's 256 gigabytes. That's nothing. That's nothing. Hell, you picked the shit too? Of course I did. But that's nothing at all. I've been playing God of War Ragnarok. I downloaded Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok. Just these 2 games alone, right? If we go by size on disc, just these 2 games alone exceed the capacity of a Nintendo Switch 2. That's literally 2 PC games. Right? But Nintendo games and work, but even so, you would be hard pressed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games like this on Nintendo. Which is why I think that's why physicals are still very, very, very much in vogue for Nintendo, whereas they're not for other people. By the way, starting Friday on my gaming channel, we're going to be playing a game I just downloaded called Love Eternal. I played the demo for you guys a while ago, and it came out, so I want to play that. So look forward to that. That's coming on Friday, July 9th. Anyways. Let me give it this.
Software sales for last year were digital. And if you talk to, by the way, some of these kind of niche or boutique publishers that handle physical discs for digital games, such as like, I don't know, Limited Run.
The original Steam Deck had 64 gigabyte model? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. There's no way. There's no way.
Or like I Am 8-Bit, a lot of them will tell you that a lot of actually their business is Nintendo games. Also Japanese games. Square Enix, I think, does some good business on physical, especially with collector's editions. I think a lot of JRPG fans and fans of Japanese games tend to also take well to physical and collector's.
The cheapest Steam Deck was 64 gig. Why even wasting money on that? 64 gigabytes isn't even a basic. That's not even like a PC game. It wasn't even SSD. Okay, you guys are pissing me off.
Editions and stuff like that. But here's the top line. I mean, I think that those numbers are kind of, that's the part of the math problem here, and part of the calculus and the spreadsheets that Sony is looking at is trying to figure out how many of their customers will actually be impacted by this and will actually care. And they've determined that there's a significant enough player base on digital that they don't need to keep printing discs. but the financial upside for them is really significant. And so I wanted to get into the numbers a little bit, because
This is something
really
we've talked
helpful
about.
to understand why they are
I think this is when
and how beneficial it is for them financially.
I think that's what he's talking about with like it costing them $70, or they get like 100% of their money back.
About
right?
6 years ago, about that was kind of breaking down the percentages of a game sale that the publisher will actually keep versus what they have to pay to external.
Okay, so we've done this already.
So let me break this down a little bit. I'm reading from this blog, and I'll post a link in the show notes, so be sure to check it out if you want to see the numbers for yourself.
In the show notes.
Take a physical video game, $70 physical video game, traditional video game. When it's from a first-party publisher, when it's from Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft,
okay, so
the breakdown looks like this.
We did cover this part already, so let's skip ahead a little bit.
All at $350. That's one that can really vary shipping costs, production costs, all that other stuff. People have all sorts of deals in place, and so the publisher winds up taking home $35, the standard. $30. In fact, PlayStation and Microsoft both take a loss on the hardware that they sell. They are not making money when they sell you a PlayStation. What they want you to do is get into the PlayStation ecosystem and be buying games on there, because that is how they make their money. And of course, subscription services and all that jazz. But really, they want you to be buying games on there. And ideally, they want you to be buying games digitally on there. So they are getting that $21, that 30% store cut off of each $70 game. If you sell digitally, they're getting a lot less if you buy physically. Now, granted, with all of this, because Sony is not entirely amending retail, they're still going to sell boxes just with game keys in them. That, I believe, I don't know exactly how the math is going to work there.
That's what I was so confused about.
But the retailer is still going to take a cut, and the PlayStation is going to get less of a cut than they would digitally. So we're not moving entirely to that model of Sony getting 20.
That's what I don't understand, though. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's the part I don't understand. If the entire thing is you don't want to split the money between distributors, right? You don't want to have to pay the retailer a percentage of your earnings, why then get rid of disc but still have the boxes? Like, is the cost of the box so insignificant you don't care? Because the only reason why people would want to buy the box version of something, at least to my understanding, is so they could have the physical CD. If it doesn't come with the CD, why would they want the box? The box is just there for a download code, which is effectively just buying it online. Like, and it's not like they're going to get the game for cheaper, because if they do buy the game and it's a physical, they would still pay tax on that. Like, I'm so confused as to what's the benefit of just giving someone the box with download code and not just saying we're not doing storefronts anymore.
$1 for every single $70 game that is sold. We're not there yet until these retailers all give up and say, screw it, we don't want to sell these keys in a box anymore. We're not there yet. So Sony is still not.
The box and cover art, some people like that. I know, I get that, but like, you're going to pay more because you're going to pay tax on the physical property. You're going to pay more to just get a box that doesn't even come with the game. It comes with the code that you have to download. I just feel like, from Sony's perspective, because if they gave a shit about what people liked, they wouldn't go discless to begin with. So from their perspective, they don't want to give us a disc because it costs them money. But still shipping out a box doesn't?
Not making the most money it could possibly make. But how many customers out there, when this happens, are actually going to go to the store and buy a game key in a box? That is not exactly an appealing proposition for a ton of people. How many people are even going to bother? I think we're going to see the numbers get skewed even further in favor of digital purchases on the store when that starts to happen. So Sony, again, it is extremely helpful for them. It benefits them a great deal financially to be making this move. A lot of people out there have talked about like them getting control over now like sales and the used game market, and that's all part of the equation too. There are a lot of factors here, but the biggest one is that they are going to boost their margins significantly for every sale that they make. customers do not benefit from this. There is no
course not.
cost savings being passed down to customers, at least that we can see. I mean, I think there's an argument out there, an economic argument out there that I've seen that I guess holds some water, that the fact that game costs have stayed relatively flat over the last 3 decades is itself a form of cost savings. I'm not 100% sure I buy that, but I can see the logic. Basically, what that argument would say is that games
Gets
were
you more expensive.
60, 70, even more in the 90s, and that price has really stayed flat over the last 30 years, despite inflation. And so as a result, you are saving money when you buy a $70 game now as opposed to 30 years ago. And I won't get into all of the math there about wages and cost of living and how unaffordable everything is for a lot of people these days, and how that affects all of it. But that is an argument. But still, I mean, I think that
true.
maybe there's a world where someone at PlayStation breaks down that they are saving some money or making some more money as a result of this move, and therefore they are going to try to pass the costs down to customers in some way. I think that might smooth over some of this ongoing tension, because I suspect this problem is not going to go away for them anytime soon. I don't think people are just gonna sit back and put up with it. I could be wrong. I don't know. Personally, like I mentioned before, I'm mostly a PC gamer, so all of my games are pretty much digital anyway. It's funny, on the other shelf over here, you can't see it, but that shelf, I have my game discs, like a bunch of game discs in a row, and it just ends at PS4, because I don't think I have a single physical game from the PS5/Xbox Series era.
All right, I think that's enough for this video. Good job, Jason. Thank you for all the information. But yeah, like I do not think, first and foremost, that they're ever going to do a thing where it's like, hey, because we made so much money on each sale, that we are going to pass the cost off. We're gonna give you guys better deals. No, not at all. And unfortunately, like we just went over, there's pretty much nothing you can do. Like, I guess you could personally not buy PlayStation games anymore and delete your accounts on stuff too. But if only 500,000 people do that, that's nothing. If like 10 million people do it, that's probably something. Can you link the channel for the last one? Give the guy a follow. Yeah, that's Jason Schreier. It's just Jason Schreier. Jason Schreier, by the way, he's not like just like a YouTuber. He's like an actual journalist. He's broken multiple stories. He was the one who broke the story about Blizzard. He also broke the story about what happened with Rocksteady. He has a book. The PSN hackers have the funniest opportunity right now. It's just insane to me how quickly the situation has devolved, right? To where people are staying on Sony's ass like nonstop. But still, that's not enough. Unfortunately. I'm still bummed about the id news, man. That's just really pissing me off. Like, we could have gotten a perfect Dark game. That's all right. But there were some other things I'll talk about, like the Maximilian. Because apparently this clip was going like viral on Twitter. Oh, of course it's this dumbass. So our favorite moron, Tactical Templar, had this to say. Did Maximilian dude just blame the Sony no physical disc situation on Trump? Iterobang?
Position didn't just happen because games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers and digital formats only. I have choice things to say of how we got here, but I'm going to save it. Us being in this precarious position didn't just happen because things happen. This happened because people voted for very specific people. As consumer preference games...
Very short clip, but this garnered a lot of attention, as you'll see. This one post got 3 million views and got 3,000 likes. Damn, bro, they do not fuck with you. This is definitely 746 retweets. Oh, this is they're beating your ass in the quick retweets. This is their the quote retweets are beating your ass. I can tell from just the ratio here. But yes, Max is, as you guys, my audience, have correctly reached. Yes, Max is not wrong at all. This is because of the current administration, Trump's administration, to be hyper specific, because of them gutting consumer protections, first and foremost, them also being in basically the pocket of billionaires and tech billionaires, to be specific, and their push for AI. All of the things that they're going for have negatively impacted gaming. Not to mention they're being anti-union. Not to mention the tariffs. Like, yes, this is the trickle-down effect. And that's why I love the comment section here, because they're like, Mighty Keith, this conversation is far above IQ. Playboy says, went out. The current administration doesn't give a shit about consumer protection, so the giant corporates have all been doing mergers, other bullshit, knowing they won't go challenged. I mean, Trump is pro-AI, and AI is what caused this market to implode. So yes, Trump is a huge factor in the current market climate for tech and gaming. This guy's an idiot. Reactionaries like yourself will never openly admit that Trump's policies have been awful for gaming sphere. Tariffs increased the price of all electronics. Pro-data center legislation has increased the cost of computer components. Consumer protections are almost gone. He is objectively correct if you've been following the news these past several years, whether it be tariffs, AI boom, or multiple other factors in increasing the cost of the console/game production, distribution, and logistics. Like, he's right. He's right. He's 100% right. The fact that there's 800 comments here. Let's go by recent. If you don't understand how politics literally affects all other aspects of life in modern society, you're either blissfully ignorant or horribly stupid. You're a grown-ass adult and you're this dumb. Yes, and he's correct. I need you to understand how politics, economics, and this is making my heart feel better. This is making my heart feel better, you guys. My face when politics affects day-to-day life. And you know what's funny? You know what's interesting, you guys? You know what's interesting? I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure there was a content creator who on November 13th, 2024 said that Project 2025 is bad for video gaming gamers. There's some content creator in November 13th, 2024 said Trump's going to be bad for video games. Your shit's going to get more expensive. There's someone who said that. And I think whoever said that should get all of the subscribers, actually, and all the viewers, because boy, was he correct almost 2 years ago.
Hi, it's me, your boyfriend/girlfriend/they friends.
What? Wait a minute. This is the guy? This is the guy? Whoa, man, his setup has changed dramatically. So is his hair. But yeah, wow. This guy said all this. He said all this in 2024? And this was even before AI. Oh, what? Trump's tariffs will make video game consoles up to 40% more expensive? Oh, man. The guy who was, Trump's proposed tariffs will hit gamers hard. Oh, what is this video even about? Please tell me. Google, summarize this video. What did this guy have to say about this video? Oh, he discusses how Project 2025 could negatively impact the video game industry and for developers and consumers. Workplace protections, workers' rights, economic impact, a major focus is placed on how proposed tariffs could increase the prices of gaming consoles and computer hardware to increase significantly, making them less accessible to the average consumer. Oh, whoa. The creator concludes by urging viewers to pay attention to these political developments, emphasizing that the consequences will disproportionately affect regular gamers and workers rather than wealthy individuals. Oh, whoa. What? No way. You mean to tell me my hair evolved? It did. I think I cut it before. I cut it in 2023 and then I grew it back out. But you're telling me I called this shit and this is exactly what happened? Oh, man. Seems to be a trend, huh? Seems to be a trend that basically everything I've said in this sphere has, in one way or another, come to fruition almost immediately. I feel like Cassandra. I hate this. I hate this so much because I never win the lotto. I never predict the winning numbers. Oh, but awful things happening because of bad policies? Yeah, I can see that coming a mile away. Just like how I said that you're going to get less creative games and you're going to get less risk. And then we find out that Obsidian canceled their games, is now working on another Fallout game. id was working potentially on a Perfect Dark game or their own original IP, and now they're most likely not. It's not fun. It's not fun being right about this at all. It sucks, actually. Legitimately, it fucking sucks. I don't like this. I feel like I'm like doom and gloom right now. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, you guys. I swear I don't. But it's just it's just the shit that you see.
Hello, I'm the real life fake.
But okay.
Fake wizard for the.
Why don't we though do some classic TTB and stuff right now? Let's get back into the groove of things. This was in the React section of the Discord, which again, you guys should be joining. The link should be somewhere in the chat, but join the Discord. This is the video by someone called Real Life Fake Wizard, and the title is "The Culture War is Over, You Lost." Oh, it's over? Thank God. Thank God it's over, because holy shit was I tired of this. Holy shit was I tired of this. Oh no, not that guy? Is this a known quantity? I've never watched this person before. Well, let's see.
Hello, I'm the real life fake wizard. For the last decade and some change, the internet has discussed and chronologized the battles of the culture war. Well, after all the releases of June 2026, I'm here to confidently tell you the war is over. Yes, the culture war is over. Do you know who won? No one. Humanity is lost. To give a brief introduction of this,
I mean, I kind of agree with that so far.
Culture war, on one side, you find people who think a hero should adhere to the classical standards and beliefs of heroism that have been found throughout all of human history.
Oh, never mind. I can see where this is going. I can see where this is going. I can see where this is going. Traditional archetypes, masculine archetypes, and not like woke shit, right? Am I right?
That a story is supposed to mean something, and that you don't hand children, the next generation of humanity, protagonists that embody cowardly, weak, and or selfish ideals. The motivation of this camp of people is preservation of the values of the past. On the other side, you'll find institutions and people inside of them who look at the exact same stories and see a list of things that must be fixed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, again. So I'm right. It's woke. We're never leaving woke. The culture, he lied. He lied when he said the culture war was over, because this is very clearly classical things when people were in traditional roles, when there was white dudes being white dudes and men being men, and everyone knew their place was cool. And now things are woke, and that's bad.
Too simple, too narrow, built by and for people who don't look like the whole room. And they believe that to change and destroy the past is to make it better. And they mean it too. This camp is not interested in preservation at all. They will revise a story until it's less of a story at all and more of a delivery system for whatever message they've decided it's important for you and the next generation of listeners.
So I know I'm pausing a lot, but that's what I do. But do we not see the immediate contradiction that he just did here? He just said how movies in the past, he said this, right? This is what he said.
You find people who think a hero should adhere to the classical standards and beliefs of heroism that have been found throughout all of human history. That a story is supposed to mean something, and that you don't hand children, the next generation of humanity, protagonists that embody cowardly, weak, and or selfish ideals.
So that right there is what we call a message, right? Morals, agendas, one might say. So his whole standpoint is old morals or old agendas he grew up with, good. New things for a new generation, bad, right? Did I really just nail this in like 30 seconds?
At present day, but also this is a battle that has no end in sight. There is never going to be a definitive winner for reasons we'll discuss shortly, but further and more importantly, there is no winner because there is nothing worth battling over anymore. Every single major property, story, hero figure, every IP, every motivation, every possible plot point, everything has been defanged, declawed, neutered, tortured, and executed. And I know that sounds awful, and Wizard, you're blackpilling, but what I'm describing is that we stand upon the rubble of creativity. There is nothing left to fight for. And no matter how much you might dislike
That's
what
insane.
Hollywood and Wall Street produce, regardless of the camp you find yourself in, there is no denying that what we're fighting over now is crumbs. No matter how many hundreds of millions of dollars Hollywood and Wall Street lose catering to the institutions, another reboot will be made. Another sequel for another day. Another remake, reshoot, retelling meant to reestablish relevance.
Okay, see, here's the shit I hate though. This betrays a knowledge of film history. Throughout film, there have always been reboots and remakes. How many of you guys watched Brendan Fraser in The Mummy? Show of hands. Oh, wait. How many of you guys watched Brendan Fraser in The Mummy? Bum, 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 bum. Okay, yes, right. You watched it. Remake. That was a remake from a serial. How many times have you guys watched like every film you've watched? Most likely, especially from the 80s, were remakes. You grew up on remakes. Hey, did you like watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle when you were a kid? Whatever, how old you guys are. Guess what? That IP existed before you did. There's always remakes and remasters and retellings and remixes because there is nothing new under the sun. There is no new idea. We've had all the ideas, okay? What now we're doing is we're taking influences from the past and remixing it. And through that remix, you get to see the creator's input and how they envision, how they're inspired by it, and how they go for it, right? That's always been the interesting part. Star Wars is Buck Rogers, right? And a bunch of serials mixed together. As is Indiana Jones. Batman was was inspired by pulp comics. Every media has evolved over time, but all media reinvents itself. The Flintstones are prehistoric homonyms. Yeah, a bunch of old cartoons were just reinterpretations of real life sitcoms. I mean, holy shit. The Seven Samurai. How many times has that been done over and over and over and over and over again? Magnificent Seven is a remake of Seven Samurais. Hell, The Office is just The Office, but in America. Yeah, and yeah, every story is just the monomyth, right? It's oh no, guess what, you guys? They're gonna have a call to adventure in this next movie. Apparently the mentor figure dies, thus sending the main character on a journey of self-discovery. Like, yeah, dude.
Relevance, restore reputations, and rehabilitate broken brands while reassuring shareholders that reinvention will restore recognition. Superman didn't do well at the box office. Supergirl is also not doing well.
So that's a lie. Superman made $825 million against a $200 million budget. What are we doing? Sorry, $624 million globally on a $225 million budget and finished as the top superhero film of the year. Sorry, not 800 million, 625 million. Like this is a success. By every metric, this is a success. What the fuck is he talking about? How are we lying this early?
At the box office. Man of Tomorrow will likely not do well at the box office, but there will be another one. There will always be another Super someday. And whether or not James Gunn is at the helm, it doesn't matter. There will always be another and another. And with each other, the story, world, culture, character, moral, and message that the original creators intended is slowly and steadily washed away until...
Okay, also, for the most part, not true. You have to ignore the Zack Snyder films because Zack Snyder's entire filmography, his entire purpose is to take characters and he thinks he's deconstructing, but he says, what if we just make them violent and moody, right? What if we just make them violent and moody? That's Zack Snyder. But if you take that away, every version of Superman that isn't some evil Superman version, every mainstream version of Superman is the same character at its core. However, the world that they inhabit has always been reflective of the time it's being made in. Superman has always been contemporary. He's always been contemporary. Superman's not a character stuck in a time period that doesn't evolve. Superman evolves with the time. There was a time when Superman like fucking renounced America. Just like Captain America. There was a time when Superman was just truth, justice, and like the human way instead of the American way. Like there was a time when Superman had a fucking mullet. Like Superman is contemporary. Superheroes are contemporary because even though the morals they stand for are consistent, how that's challenged and interpreted changes. Back in the day, stopping a bank robber meant you were good. Nowadays, not only are you stopping a bank robbery, but maybe you might address the root cause of what's happening. Why is he robbing a bank? Right? This Superman in 2025 is literally the Silver Age Superman to the point where he doesn't even swear. Like that's if there's any movie to pick to highlight his point, he picked the worst one. Go watch Superman 2025. David Corn says Superman is so wholesome and full of optimism that he doesn't even swear. He saves a squirrel. Like I don't understand this.
Well, Superman is not even Superman at all. He's just super fella now. A guy who happens to be super. And I hope I'm being clear that Superman is just an example of an infinite pattern. Replace Superman with any character or story you can think of and it fits the same sad outcome. And so,
no.
Why then? Why keep doing this? Why all the do-overs? And the constant fighting too? Like, why engage in a culture war willingly?
I'm so lost.
To the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars lost. Well,
Wait. Holy shit. Is he saying that movies are engaging in a culture war? Is he saying that there's only like one movie currently engaged in a culture war, and that's Citizen Vigilante. But is he saying that Like Hollywood's engaged in a culture war, and that's why they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. Because that makes zero sense.
Actually, you'd be asking all the wrong questions. You would be assuming any of this is being made for you. And it's not. Yeah, Superman is not for you. It's not for me either. We might be the customers with the wallets, but we're not the target audience. There is no culture war over your childhood, but there is a culture war over your children.
What?
Okay, so if the culture war on the surface is fought over what two camps of people envision as human values, well, deeper than that, the foundation.
Wait, you guys, I have watched Andy Pants videos. I've seen Asmongold clips. I've seen Wagner Knows Why. I've seen Endymion. I've seen December. I've seen Vera. I've seen Nerdrotic. I've seen Critical Drinker. I've seen them all. I've seen them all. And I have never been as confused in these past 40, not even 40. See, that's how confused I am. These past 4 minutes and 32 seconds. I have never been more confused. What? And it was also confusing is there's clearly some effort put into at least like the production of this, but the substance of it is insane.
Foundational core is actually what we pour into the next generation, whether people want to admit it or not. Well then, the best place for us to start with this discussion, I think, is with a brief observation of the most recent pieces of media. June 26th, 2026 saw the release of the second film in James Gunn's DC superhero universe.
Have I seen Mahler has a film? Oh, Christ.
Supergirl. The team who made this movie went on the record before it came out and called protagonist Kara Zor-El an anti-hero. The director said it. James Gunn confirmed it. The lead actress Millie Alcock said she hopes young girls walk away after seeing the film knowing it's okay to be, and I'm quoting her here, a bit bad and a bit messy. This film was marketed and positioned as empowerment for women, but also children, both little boys and little girls. Yet it sees Supergirl as a belligerent drunk and not actually being the anti-hero they claim she would be, despite that being a whole separate issue because Supergirl is not an anti-hero. Nah, see, it's worse than that. Millie Alcock's Supergirl is positioned as a hero in the film, and she's told that she needs to be good. Be good is a repeated phrase by multiple characters, and yet the film...
Did he watch the movie?
...film does not actually uphold or embody the very definition it uses for being good. And they don't embody what being good means, because the uncomfortable truth is modern Hollywood doesn't believe in good or evil. Not anymore.
Is he not talking about the movie?
This is a very serious position of argument.
Wait, what? You can't do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't just say modern Hollywood doesn't believe in good, A, when Superman came out last year, but B, the theme of this movie was, yeah, it's okay to be messy and still do good. Supergirl was messy because she had PTSD because she saw her fucking people die in front of her and then was sent to a different planet where she knew nobody. And the one person she's supposed to take care of is a grown-ass adult. So, like, she's trying to find her place in the world and she's 23. But the messaging here is, even if you're messy and you don't know what to do, just do good. Like, the good that she was doing is when Supergirl was preventing Ruthie from killing the bad guy. That was the good she was doing. I'm not going to guarantee spoilers, but that was her being good, her taking care of this child, her rescuing these other people, putting herself in situations where in the first scene in the movie, she's in the red sun and she still fights this guy in order to get something back for Ruthie. Like, did you not watch this movie at all? Was it that hard to comprehend? How is she not doing good?
In the culture war, there is no good, there is no evil. Everything is now a kind of dangerous, sticky, morally gray. Nobody is really a hero, and anyone who strives to embody the classic virtues of heroism is a punchline.
Spider-Man's a hero. Batman's a hero. Superman's a hero. Supergirl's a hero. I'm having a hard time coming up with Iron Man's a hero. Captain America's a hero. Winter Soldier's a hero. Even the movie The Thunderbolts, they were anti-heroes and then they became heroes. Like, where is your evidence that heroism is gone? People aren't evil. What's happening, see, the thing is too is what these people fail to mention is they don't like complexity. Complexity is messy. They want black and white. They want to be like, this is the bad guy, he's bad. This is the good guy, he's good. And let's be real, sometimes I like that too. But if you're telling a deeper story, you can't just have like, I'm going to poison the water supply, Batman. Well, why? Why are you going to poison the water? Just because? Okay, is this a character study and now into Batman's character and how he has to fight his darker urges to just kill the Joker? Because that's also complexity. But what they want is super friends. He wants super friends. He wants Lex Luthor to be, I'm evil. Here's our League of Evil. We are the Injustice League and our Legion of Doom, and we're in a swamp. That's what he wants. Anything beyond that is, now there's no evil. No one's bad. No one's good. They're just shades of gray. And yeah, Supergirl did do an anti-hero thing because Supergirl's character has been reinvented so many times to make her more relevant because Supergirl comics have struggled tremendously. Fun fact, when Supergirl, the TV show, came out in 2015, they fucking killed Supergirl. Again. First time they killed her was in Crisis. Then she was like a weird clone when she came back, and then she died again, and it was a lot of stuff.
A punching bag, laughed at and mocked, pissed on by the dog.
Okay, but again, you didn't watch Superman then. Like, he's trying to say that they don't respect heroes, but he's taking this shit out of context.
No. Classic morality is outdated and wrong. Superman sees the good in everyone, but I see the truth, is a quote from Supergirl in the movie. You see, goodness and the pursuit of goodness in one's real life are just bedtime stories you tell kids. The truth is for grown-ups, and the truth is that nobody's really good underneath. It's all just appetite and damage, and the mature thing is to quit pretending otherwise, which is...
So he didn't watch the movie. He didn't watch the movie. And also, even if you didn't watch the movie, this is the most obvious character arc of all time. Jaded individual meets a younger character and slowly becomes less jaded and gets reinvigorated. Like, what is this? What is this?
Ironic because while these writers think that they're able to extrapolate good and evil from their stories, replacing the heroes with Walter White derivatives of anti-hero, somehow they always leave in a little bit of pure, unadulterated evil. Supergirl is no different. Morally gray storytelling from Hollywood has become a belief system. Because once you decide nothing is really good and nobody is really a hero, writing gets easier. You never have to defend a standard because you don't have one. You never have to make a character earn anything because there's nothing left to earn.
What the fuck is he talking about? What is he talking about? What does any of this mean?
Really a hero, writing gets easier. You never have to defend a standard because you don't have one.
That's such a... The movie that he uses are obviously cherry-picked, but this is the fucking Joker. Like, I could say how movies nowadays are too positive, and I could show you Toy Story, I could show you fucking Minions, I could show you Despicable Me, I could show you Superman, I could show you Batman, I could show you Spider-Man. You know, Spider-Man, that's coming out in like a couple of weeks. You know Spider-Man. Great power, great responsibility. Tom Holland Spider-Man. The guy who sacrificed people knowing who he was to do the good thing, The guy who lost his aunt in this version, but persists and follows through her with her command, who didn't kill anyone, who saves people at the cost of own personal, loss. Remember that Spider-Man? Who's been that Spider-Man every time you've seen Spider-Man on TV and in movies?
You never have to make a character earn anything because there's nothing left to earn. And never risk telling the audience something they don't want to hear. Because the entire creed of morally gray boils down to everybody's a little bad. So just relax. And that's funny because the people who tell you there's no...
But they don't do that. When people... Listen, in the real life, yeah, there's lots of bad people. Sometimes good people do bad things, maybe for good reasons, but you know that saying, hell's paved with the, good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Like, that's a real thing. But also, in films, when there are people who are morally gray, they're almost never depicted as a positive force. Look at Daredevil and look at Punisher. Right? Since he likes talking about superheroes, look at Daredevil and look at Punisher. Does Punisher go after bad guys? Yes, but he kills. So when Matt's there, he stops him from killing people. Matt gets tested all the time, but he always pulls back, except for that one time with Bullseye, but he's not perfect. But he pulls back. They're showing you, be like Matt, not Punisher. Be Spider-Man.
Such thing as good and bad are usually the people capable of doing the most bad. Okay, so that puts us in a position where we see what's being made today, right? Supergirl is just one of many remakes fitting the morally gray structure.
Supergirl's not a remake. What are you talking about? Supergirl's not a remake. It's not a remake. This isn't a remake of the 1985 version, for damn sure. This is not a remake. This is a loose adaptation of Woman of Tomorrow, but it's not a remake. What?
But that puts us in a position where we need to roll it back and properly define what is goodness. Well, it's not a vibe. It's not a personality. Aristotle defined goodness around 340 BC as that which aligns with human flourishing, the pursuit of ultimate happiness, or the word he used, which was eudaimonia, living a life of purpose, meaning, and rational activity.
No, it says a contented state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous. That is not the same as living a life of purpose, nor is it the same as doing good for others. This is telling you to live a life that is prosperous and happy. But what a person defines as happy and prosperous could be vastly different from person to person, which might include some conflict. If I am a sociopath, or I'm a nihilist, I think all life is worthless, and I want to Thanos snap everyone away to make me happy, that would make me content. Remember when Thanos snapped away half the universe and he went to his farm and he fucked off to a farm and he was content and he rested while half the universe was dead? Would you say that is human flourishing? He was in a state of happiness and healthy and prosperous. He had a field of wonderful plants. Like,
in accordance with virtue rather than simply chasing temporary pleasures. Conversely, evil, as noted later by Augustine and then Aquinas, is not necessarily an opposing force, at least not always. Evil is more of a deficiency or separation from goodness, which means for you to be good requires...
That's also a bad... What? So evil is not clearly defined, it's just a separation of goodness? So then would that mean evil is when you're not in a state of being happy, healthy, and prosperous? So if I'm like fucking poor and homeless, am I evil now?
Force, at least not always. Evil is more of a deficiency or separation from goodness, which means for you to be good requires active participation, choosing to do the right thing despite how hard it might be. And so that leads us to courage.
That doesn't even track with his own definition. Nothing here says that you need to actively do good or anything. That's not even his own definition that he's showcasing here.
Which means for you to be good requires active participation, choosing to do the right thing despite how hard it might be.
That's not at all what you said. And also, he's going to talk about courage. Courage is just the ability to do things in the face of fear. But you could be courageous and murder somebody, right? Because he's trying to affix morals to people's actions. But that's very difficult to do. If I'm being courageous, okay, you know what, you guys? It's my first time breaking and entering to someone's home, but I'm going to get over my fear. I'm going to go into that house. I'm going to hit the back door. I'm going to bust it open, and I'm going to just clear the family out. I'm overcoming my fear. I'm being courageous. That is courage. What is the definition of courage? Let's just see what a function. Let's just see definition of courage. The mental and moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty, right? So if I'm being courageous, if I'm being brave by doing bad things, by this logic, I'm doing good.
And so that leads us to courage, right? You must actively be courageous in order to pursue goodness. It's not easy to do the right thing all the time. Being courageous is not the absence of fear. It's the choice to continue onward despite fear. Okay.
Yes. So now, next time when you guys break into someone's home and you're afraid of it, just remember you're doing good, because to be courageous is to be good. He's assigning his own interpretations to a definition, which he's allowed to have its own definition of goodness, but he can't then try to cite philosophers using their definition and then add his own twist to it. That's not what they said. Right? Because then you start to get into like deeper philosophy about utilitarianism, right? Or, like greater good, all that stuff, right? And I don't think this is the debate he wants to have.
Okay, so reframing, because this is a lot. One who pursues true goodness must pursue a life of purpose and meaning, and to accomplish that, you must be brave, all of which derives from the choices that you make. And those choices don't just mean action forward, they can also require restraint. See, cowards fail because they can't act, but brutes fail because they don't know when to stop. Someone who is pursuing goodness is standing.
Why does he kind of look like Matt Walsh? Am I the only one seeing it now? Am I the only one who sees it?
In the gap of that. They can inflict damage but choose not to instead. Well, that adds another layer to this. In order to pursue goodness, you must wrestle with the possibility of inflicting harm and or doing wrong. For example, a guard dog that bites everyone isn't good. A guard dog with no teeth isn't good either. The best guard dog is one that can tear the bad guy's arm off, but is capable of restraint.
But here, since we're getting philosophical, why are you assigning morals to a dog? Right? If the dog acts in its nature, it's neither good nor bad. It's acting in its nature. If a guard dog is trained to attack people, then it is still acting within its nature. The dog is not choosing to attack people. The dog is being taught whom to attack. And whoever you decide is bad, well, that raises another layer of morals, right? Because what makes them bad? Because by your standards, is them being divorced from evil? How does that present, right?
Having teeth is a requirement of being good. If you take their teeth away, or bringing it back to humans here, if you take away the ability to inflict harm, then there's nothing left to admire. You're just harmless. And if you are harmless, you cannot be all good, because as we said, to be good means you must actively choose to do the right thing. Those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. Goodness is not harmlessness. Goodness is power aimed...
He's been ranting about this shit for like 80 minutes, but this is nonsense. It's pseudo-intellectual nonsense. By this standard, okay, I'm 6'9", right? I'm 6'9", like 300. I'm cutting weight up. I'm 6'9", 300. So I do have the capacity to inflict harm on people. So every time I just don't do that, am I good? Also, he's saying that someone who doesn't have the capacity who doesn't have the capacity to inflict harm is harmless, therefore they're not courageous or brave. But how can you dictate who has the capacity? What if I'm in a wheelchair? Am I harmless now? What if I have a gun hidden behind me? Am I still harmless? Or am I being brave by not blowing you away?
And controlled. And do you know one of the greatest characters in the last 100 years of fiction to exhibit these values of goodness happens to be none other than Superman himself. Yes, and I think it's best we take it back to 1938 with the invention of the character. Action Comics, dreamed up by two Jewish teenagers out of Cleveland, saw Superman as, quote, a champion of the oppressed. So that's our mission statement. Superman must be strong enough to fight oppression and also a champion of the people, as something worth looking up to or aspiring to be. Superman isn't good because he's strong. He's the strongest there is, and that's exactly why his goodness counts.
God, this is something I think Matt Walsh said, like legitimately.
This man could take the whole planet in an afternoon, and instead, he puts on a pair of glasses and works a job like a regular guy because he sees this planet as his home. It's a place worth.
Anyway, I'm 6'9", I'm 6'5" or 6'4". Why would I be 6'5" or 6'4" and say I'm 6'9"? I would just say I'm 6'5". That's still tall.
Fighting for, which means he chooses restraint every single day. And why? Why choose restraint? Why choose to become Clark Kent? Well, because he was raised by two people in Kansas who taught him the values of being good and, more so, being kind, which also means that parents, or really parental.
See, he has it backwards, though. Superman doesn't become Clark Kent. Clark Kent becomes Superman. And I know this sounds like being pedantic, but that's an important distinction here, right? We have seen people in comics and TV shows, whatever, with great power who are not responsible, right? Superman's entire thing is he has amazing power, obviously, yes, but he was raised human. Superman is human in terms, not biologically, right, but in terms of his upbringing. He's raised by humans to respect human life, right? He's raised by good people. But we've also seen what happens when he's raised by Russians. When, you know, we've seen Superman Red Sun, right? So this isn't something inherent to Superman. This is inherent to Clark Kent. Clark Kent is good, but Superman is whomever raises him.
Figures have that kind of impact on the next generation, you see? Our moral argument here is that the culture war is not just about what's here to entertain you and I, but what kind of beliefs and ideals we leave behind. For decades, writers have done versions of Superman where his ship lands in different places on Earth. What
yes,
if
my
Superman
point, right?
Landed in Soviet Russia? What if he lands in medieval England or rural England? What if he's raised by the Wayne family and he becomes Batman? What if the US government gets him and locks him underground his whole life? See, every what if puts Superman in a position where his morals and ideals are all bent by the circumstances he's raised inside of. Take the Kent family away from Kal-El, and he isn't raised to be Clark Kent, which means he isn't raised with love for humanity, which means he's far less inclined to show restraint when he uses his powers, because nobody ever showed him a reason worth restraining himself for. Same baby, same ship, same impossible strength, but you landed in a place that doesn't believe in goodness, and that child will have a much harder time learning about and finding.
Okay, it's also crazy to say that he lands in a place that doesn't believe in goodness. This, God, now we're getting a little bit bigger here, right? But there are personal morals, then there's cultural morals, right? If let's say I'm Superman, and I landed in Russia, and I have Superman Red Sun, right? I am doing good for my people and my country. Right? I was raised in this environment. I am doing good. I'm keeping my people safe. I'm keeping the order. I'm doing good. Now, does good look the same to everyone? No. Which is the point I think he's not really making here. it's relative. It's relative. If I go to a store, I have no money, I'm starving, and then I steal some food, I'm trying to protect myself. I'm trying to give myself a chance to fight, right? Did I do something bad? Sure, but I needed to eat. What if I see someone who is homeless and I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry, but you seem to be worse off than me. I stole this bread, but here, eat this bread. I did something bad and I also did something good. I did something good for someone. I gave them food, but I stole it. So does that like wash away? Am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Am I a neutral person? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much more to this than just do good, do bad. There's a literal whole philosophical study of this kind of stuff.
Goodness. And the sad part is that all of these Superman what ifs that we just discussed aren't hypotheticals. We are doing an experiment with it right now, on purpose, with every child alive in the West. Because children don't only learn what's good from their mom and dad, they learn from stories we hand them, from movies they watch, from games they play, from other children, from their educators, and from their extended families. Yes, children are a combination of all these things, but what happens to a generation when every story they're handed has decided that goodness and being good was a lie all along?
That's not happening though. Kids aren't watching Superman Red Sun. Kids aren't watching these deconstructions of Superman. They're not watching, some kids are, but not watching like The Boys. Like they're not, like this is not happening. This is just not happening. You're seeing the Matt Walsh here too, right? It's not just me.
What happens when kids aren't raised with Superman and they only get Super Fella? Well, you already know the answer. You raise a whole generation of Kal-Els who never got Kansas. So what exactly is Hollywood replacing Aristotle's eudaimonia with? Morally gray storytelling. Everything is morally gray. Everyone is compromised. And sure, morally gray storytelling can be engaging at times. Most people point to Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, as stories that are compelling as a means of being a North Star. Walter White is one of the most interesting characters of the century. Therefore, everything should mirror Walter White. Isn't that right, Rings of Power? When used correctly, gray storytelling still
I feel like he just doesn't like
is real,
stories.
And it shows you the good with some pieces taken out. But Hollywood treats morally gray as a philosophy. It's less of a tool to elevate goodness and more like a religion, a belief system. As a belief, morally gray,
no one's doing this. No, he just keeps saying Hollywood, 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 Hollywood. And then he just talks about 2 movies. Where are your actual examples? Notice how he actually doesn't show examples of what he's talking about to highlight his point. He's just showing random B-roll footage and expecting you to just believe him.
Moves all definitions. See, earlier we spent time defining good and evil, that to pursue goodness requires active participation. Well, if everything is morally gray, then there is no goodness. Nobody is actually good and nobody is actually evil. People just do things. Some of them do nice things, some of them do terrible things, but it all runs on one engine underneath, and that is, what did I want right then in that exact moment? It's a reductionist view of human beings, that everything we do is built on inherent desires and selfishness. We do as we want, because we can. Everything is preference and appetite. And as we said,
but that's how humans are. What? Okay, so you don't understand human behavior. Just say that. Just say you don't understand human behaviors. Human beings are creatures of habit. We have been reinforced through our lives to act in accordance to certain rules and customs in order to have the most preferable outcomes for ourselves. That is why people, by and large, do not commit crimes. Criminals make up a very small portion of society, and then even then, crimes vary from state to state, country to country, culture to culture, because it's a crime against a society and whatever they feel is to be too much in their society. For example, right? If I go to let's just say a super like hardcore Islamic country, and I walk around shirtless, that could be a crime there. That's not a crime here. I'm not saying walking around shirts in Islam is a crime, just using an example. But like, that could be a crime there, not here. I was not reinforced in that society. I'm reinforced in American society where that's legal, right? That doesn't make me a bad person. But I don't speed, right? Or if you're speeding, you see a cop, you slow down. We have so many things that we've learned through either incidental learning or overtly being taught something that's shaped our worldview. People aren't just good. People aren't just bad. Everyone has the capacity to do good or evil, like I mentioned before, because a lot of it's depending on context, situation, location. If you've ever stolen something, if you ever pirated something, even watched something that was stolen or pirated, or participated in something like making fun of someone or bullying, you've done bad things. There's obviously scales to it, but you've done bad things. Does that make you bad? Like, yes, people are. In fact, I'm steelmanning his point. Because people have the capacity to do good and evil, those of us who choose to do good, right, would be, by his definition, courageous. And those who choose to be evil. But it's a choice. He's going from making it a choice to making it just something it is. Like, this is what's happening here.
Is built on inherent desires and selfishness. We do as we want because we can.
Yes. So I can choose to be a nice person. I can choose to be kind. I can choose to not insult you, which I haven't done so far. I can choose to do all those things. Or I can say, you look like if Matt Walsh got into cosplay, right? I could choose to say and do those things also. We have free will that comes with choice. And human beings are selfish. That selfishness could still present in a way that's beneficial to everyone else. I can like helping people because it makes me feel good. That is a selfish reason. But I'm helping people. But that's selfish. And maybe you're altruistic. But either way, we have the capacity. That's what makes us human.
Everything is preference and appetite. And as we said before, if nothing is really good and there aren't really heroes, then there is no standard to defend because you have no standards. There is nothing to earn, nothing really to overcome, because nobody set a bar anywhere for anyone to clear. Nobody has to be brave, since bravery was just a preference too. There's no hard right and no easy wrong. There's only the easy thing and the slightly less easy thing.
That makes no sense.
Picking one over the other isn't a victory, it's just a mood. And what's interesting inside of this morally gray belief is how everyone points to Walter White as being a morally gray character. No, he's a villain. He's a bad guy. So is Tony Soprano. In Game of Thrones, almost everyone is villainous, and we find all of them interesting because bad people are interesting. A great villain is one of the best things a story can put in front of you. It just so happens that all of these stories have villains as the protagonists.
Oh boy. All right. So that was a lot going on, but no, you're completely wrong about this, my guy. There's a difference between a protagonist and a villain, right? A protagonist is simply who you follow. Yes, Walter White is a bad guy in a world of bad guys, but he also has nuance to him. He's not going around and poisoning the water supply. Yes, he's selling drugs, but he was doing drugs in order to, pay for his cancer treatments. And this particular show is talking about the corruption of Walter White and how that also spreads to other people, like a cancer. There's a little theme for you. Him doing illegal things in order to survive is what gives him that nuance. You see what kind of person he is. You see what kind of person he's becoming. That's what makes it interesting, right? And Game of Thrones, not everyone is evil in Game of Thrones. Jon Snow was explicitly not. He's one of the purest people on the show. Like, the people in power and the people seeking power become more and more and more morally gray until they do straight up evil acts, like one character burning his daughter alive, right? Or engaging in lots of sexual assault, or forced fucking genital mutilation, or like etc. etc. But then you have the Starks. Ned Stark was such a good person that he ruined his name by taking in Jon Snow and saying he had an affair when he really didn't. He was such an honest person that literally got him killed. But at the end of the series, someone like Jon Snow, who was also an honest and good person, survived, came out ahead. Say what you will about the series and its consistency, but overall, there were good people. There were people who were kind of shitty and tried to get better, and you saw them get better. If anything, Game of Thrones, why am I helping you? Game of Thrones steelmans your point about the courage it takes to be good, especially in a world that doesn't reward it. Ned Stark was good and he got his head cut off. And also, bad things happen to bad people. It's a morally gray world, and people are still choosing to be good and be bad. And you see where those choices lead them. You see the situation they've been in that led to them becoming these characters. That's what makes it interesting. Again, you're just complaining about shit for adults, but then trying to say that this is going to affect children. Kids aren't watching Game of Thrones. Adults are, because adults should have the capacity to understand nuance and not try to emulate these people. Right? That's why it's rated TVMA. These films are rated R. These shows are for adults. And the stuff that's skewed for children have a simpler message. Superman 2025, he's holistically good, and Lex is comically evil.
There is no spectrum of grayness here. But look at what happens. If you take away good and evil from your story, then all that's left is bad guys. Let's go back to Supergirl, a film that dearly wants its protagonist to exist in a world that is morally gray, and yet the villain is anything but morally gray. Krem of the Brigands is a representation of pure internet fantasy evil. The only thing missing on this guy was a mustache that he could twirl. He has child brides in cages. He believes in eugenics. He's a bloodthirsty murderer, constantly seen on screen eating like an animal. So he's disgusting. He looks disgusting too. His men are also all disgusting. And there is no characterization, no depth, and no reason to...
I mean, yeah, honestly, this version of Kim sucked. A weak character. But I feel like this is not strengthening his point.
See him as anything other than a checklist of everything a chronically online person thinks that evil looks like. Every box is ticked, every atrocity stacked, until he's so irredeemably vile that the only moral response becomes to kill him. And that is like a tell in poker. A screenwriter who actually believed in the gray, who actually thought good and evil are childish concepts, wouldn't need to. She could write a complicated man, somebody whose actions you understand, even if you hate them, is similar to the way Walter White works.
Wasn't he just complaining about this, though? Wasn't he just was this not what he was just complaining about? He was just complaining about this, though. Now he wants it?
In the later seasons. Instead, she wrote a caricature of evil so pure and so ugly that you never have to sit with the weight of the choice of mercy. Supergirl tortures and then executes this man guilt-free. And here...
He does not torture. What are you talking about? She doesn't torture him. She does not torture him. She doesn't torture him at all. And I mean, he already said it. Yeah, Supergirl kills him. But it's not some torture situation. She stabs him. The end. That's what they said she's the anti-hero, by the way, because she'll do the right thing no matter the cost, even if it's taking a life. That's what makes her the anti-hero in this version. That's something Superman, unless he was played by Henry Cavill, wouldn't do. So what is the point you're trying to make here?
Here's what that means. The writer doesn't believe there's no good and evil. No, she believes it deeply enough to demand you see evil when she points it out. She just doesn't believe in the good anymore. But these writers, well, they believe in evil plenty. Yeah, and it's a
What the fuck does that mean? Doesn't believe in the good? Did Kara not save a bunch of women from human traffickers? That's not a good deed. That's not good. That's not good. Also, this is the most contradictory shit I've seen. He spends half the video talking about how he's tired of people in Hollywood trying to humanize the villains, right? Morally gray, this, and that. And then he goes a complete 180 and goes, and that's why Supergirl didn't do those things. And it sucks because they don't believe in good, but they believe in evil. Well, if they're murdering the evil, what is that? If she's saving child brides, what is that? You want to talk about bravery? She went to a planet that had a green sun that could basically kill her. What are we talking about, dog? I don't think you watched the movie. And also, yes, she killed him so that Ruthie doesn't have to, right? So she didn't have to carry that weight. That's still a good thing she did for Ruthie. Like I talked about before, it's all about perspective. Like, I don't like, would he been like, if she didn't kill the human trafficker who was hell bent on trafficking little girls, that would have been better to let him go? Let him go where? Like in the comic book, she at least put him like the Phantom Zone so he couldn't harm anyone else. But there's no Phantom Zone for her to use. So she would just let him be and would say, okay, bye, Ruthie. Hope this guy doesn't try to track you down and kill you eventually. Like, what would that have been?
Really nasty problem now. These writers don't believe in goodness, so when they're assigned a character or characters that embody goodness, they do things to them to change how audiences perceive those heroes. Sometimes it's by making them the butt of every joke. Sometimes it's by deconstructing them. But overall, this is one that's really key because you already have emotional attachment.
Luke Skywalker became jaded, right, by the Jedi, and they're legit failures as a protective force. And then he did a heroic sacrifice. Like, what are we talking about? Like, does he not like story beats? Does he not like story beats? And also, to be like Superman was at the butt of every joke, as if Lex Luthor didn't get fucking ragdolled. A bunch of people were made fun of. Guy Gardner? Like...
Sometimes it's by making them the butt of every joke. Sometimes it's
he
by
wasn't the butt of every joke.
Them. But overall, this is one that's really key because you already have emotional attachments to those heroes from their past iterations. The changes that are being made in today's adaptations are not for you. They are to redefine how heroes are perceived by your children specifically.
Why do you keep talking about children so much? Most of the examples you used were for shit that kids don't even watch. He's only mentioned Supergirl and Superman. Literally every other example he's used has been The Joker, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. These are not for children. Because his argument doesn't hold water. So he has to do this weird mental gymnastics, make it seem like your kids are they're gonna watch The Sopranos, and they're gonna want to join the mafia. Like,
Masters of the Universe sees Adam as the absolute butt of every joke. Every moment that he starts to get agency, we see him pulled back down so the writers can say, no, you're He-Man. He-Man is stupid and embarrassing. We need to make sure the audience laughs at you and not with you.
Oh my God, this is the shit that these losers say because they attach their perception of masculinity to the media they consumed. So if they feel like in any instance He-Man is emasculated, it's them being emasculated. It's them saying that buff guys aren't wanted anymore. And then you watch the movie and he beats the shit out of Skeletor. So then what's the message there, dude? And yeah, dude, He-Man is called He-Man. It's a little bit stupid, but that's fine.
His companion and mentor, Man-at-Arms, is reduced to a toxic masculinity talking point. A belligerent drunk who confesses that his daughter is the soldier he wishes he could have been. Toy Story 5 tells 4 stories in one that all converge at the end. One of which is the story with Buzz and Woody as they chase after Jessie. Well, Woody, despite being the main protagonist of the series, has nothing to do here other than get mocked, made fun of, chewed on, and sidestepped the entire film.
Oh, so because that happens to Woody? Because that never happened to Woody in the other films? He's not the protagonist of the whole. It's an ensemble cast, dog. They add a new character every film. What is this? And do you think children's takeaway of this film is going to be, man, look at how they've emasculated Woody the cowboy? Because we all know cowboys represented the old way of masculinity, and now there's a girl. Do you think the children who watch this, that's the takeaway they're going to have? Or are they going to go, hey, I like Jessie. Cool, Jessie's the main character. I love Jessie. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Buzz, who spent the previous 4 movies being a brave leader for the toys, is a gender role swapped and reduced to being...
Wait, did he just repeat himself twice? This is some Andy Pants level of editing, dog.
Leader for the toys is a gender role swapped and reduced to being... a timid coward too afraid to propose to Jessie. So she has to do it for him. And when she kisses him, his leg pops like a swooning girl in a...
So this is where the mask just completely fell. This is where the Party City beard just comes off, right? He's mad because, Buzz is acting like a girl. And it's not like a sight gag or anything like that. Oh no, because you guys, you have to understand something. Men can never be I can flip this so easily. Yeah, you guys, men can never be shy. Women can never be assertive. No. Girls have to always be damsels and can't be the focus, and they have to be proposed to. And they have to get the kiss. They can't make the kiss. And they have to swoon. Men, you can't do that. Also, men, you can't paint your nails. You can't do that. You're not a man anymore if you do that.
50s cartoon. And when they get married, it's Buzz who walks down the aisle. Isn't it funny? Aren't we laughing? It's just funny ha-has. The opening scene of Supergirl is Krypto the dog whizzing on a newspaper that has Superman's face on it, setting the tone that Superman is a joke. This is continued.
No, you moron. It's setting the tone that Krypto is a bad dog. He's not well trained. That's the tone it's setting. Also, if you're eagle-eyed, you notice how Superman is given all the attention and Kara is in the back because she rescued a cat. And she rescued a cat and Superman saves time for nuclear reactor explosion. So this is a hero, right? This is a hero. Krypto, while being a bad dog, also has really good emotional intelligence. So he's on the same wavelength as how Supergirl feels. Notice how she's in his, literally in his shadow. She's smaller than him. So Krypto's like, all right, well, fuck you then. And also, if you watch the other movie, you would know that Krypto doesn't really like Clark that much.
That has Superman's face on it, setting the tone that Superman is a joke. This is continued with Superman's appearances in the film being uncharacteristically insecure, stumbling over his words, and being, again...
You're a fake... LARP. GACuse. LARP. Superman uncharacteristically stumbling over his words? Yeah, because Clark Kent, when he's talking to his friends or family, he's absolutely confident, doesn't stammer. They definitely didn't, make a whole film where he's a bumbling person, which isn't even really him pretending to be, and, talks too much and oversays his stuff. And yeah, you're right. That's not Superman at all. You're totally right. You're totally right, dude. You're totally right. And also, this version of Superman is so goddamn sincere that he wants to make sure he's saying the right things to Kara so she doesn't feel like she needs to come back immediately, but he wants her to know that he still cares about her.
Mocked on screen by the writers who clearly have nothing but animosity towards the character. And so that brings us full circle and back to the top. I said earlier that the war is...
Also, by the way, did he just want to make a Supergirl video and was like too cowardly, which not a good trait, fake wizard. Too cowardly to just make a Supergirl video? Like, this just became about Supergirl.
Over. The reason for that is that regardless of the amount of money made or lost, these movies will keep getting produced.
That's a TV show.
Despite audiences begging for them to stop. And with each installment, less and less of what made the property great remains. And the reason to keep making installments is because it's not meant to capture you. You're not the customer. You already experienced real He-Man, real Buzz and Woody. You know the real Superman. You were there when the original stories were told. What is being made now is to give your children a different worldview than what you have today. And you may say, Wizard,
so stupid.
These are box office bombs. No one is seeing these. Yes, that's true. But they are getting lots of views on streaming. And so whereas you had Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Thundercats, Hercules, Tarzan, Frodo and Sam, kids today have no original to measure against. Firstly, because they look at original Star Wars and they say, ew, that looks old. That's my mom and dad's movies. That's grandpa's movies.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Yeah. You also did that when you were a kid. How many kids did you know when you were younger? How many kids did you know were watching like Buck Rogers? Huh? How many kids do you know were watching Kurosawa films? Or even Magnificent Seven? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Yes, dude. People born at a certain time period typically don't want to watch it from 30, 40 years ago. Because that's not the world they live in. Like, guess what? When I was a kid, public TV would show random stuff like Little House on the Prairie. I'm not watching Little House on the Prairie. I'm not watching the Andy Griffith Show. Because even if the themes or wholesome or whatever, it's presented in a way that I find to be impenetrable. It's lingo I don't use. It's dealing with issues that don't exist in this way anymore. Right? It's trying to make the world be a simpler place, and that's not. Good God, dude. What the fuck? Like, yeah. Like, if I assume he's around my age or younger, then the first Superman movie he watched was probably Christopher Reeves, but that wasn't even the original Superman. The original Superman came out in like the 1930s. I doubt he grew up watching those.
Everything has aged and kids are fickle, which means one side is coming to this culture war with a vulnerability, a hole in the armor. Stories of the past are bound to the past. And secondly, because what was made for the children of today is a feminized Buzz Lightyear. What's made for them is Superman getting mocked and belittled, and Woody getting mocked and belittled. He-Man is a joke. Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion in 2025 and saw Nani abandon the family for college. The aliens are bad guys. The whole found family arc of the original animated film has been destroyed in the remake.
Yeah, but that's just the film. That's specific to Lilo and Stitch. That is specific to Lilo and Stitch, dog.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest fantasy stories put to screen.
And you can still watch it.
Zuko's redemption arc is fantastic. Well,
and guess what? You can still watch Avatar. You can still watch Avatar. You still have everything he talked about, people still have access to. You can still watch Avatar. I've never watched the second of the live action. You can still watch the Avatar series and Avatar Korra. In fact, my friend messaged me and said, should I watch Korra? And I said, yes.
Live action replacement, not remake, replacement from Netflix.
It's not a replacement. From Netflix, Avatar is literally on Netflix. You can literally watch it. You can literally watch this series on the same network you can watch the live action. How is that a replacement? You can watch Avatar on this. You can watch Avatar on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is releasing the Avatar animated movie July 25th. What are you talking about?
Undermines everything that made the original great at every single level. See, it's everything. It's everywhere. Not even Avatar from Nickelodeon could survive. Every story of every time is on the table, just waiting for a hope-devoid writer to get their grubby hands on it. And because the kids have nothing
Jesus
to
Christ.
compare against, they don't.
You have everything that he's talked about. Literally everything that he's talked about, the originals still exist. If you want to go watch Total Recall, you can watch both versions or you can read the book. If you want to watch Avatar, you can literally watch Avatar. You can actually, if you don't have Netflix, don't worry, because you can actually watch Avatar The Last Airbender on YouTube. You can watch the shitty live action movie on YouTube. There's literally a YouTube channel that you can just straight up watch it. Here, look, you can buy it through Paramount Plus. You can get it in a multitude of ways. There's also an Avatar Last Airbender YouTube channels that I'm aware of that you can watch on YouTube. Season 2 cartoon. It just sucks you to say cartoon. But you could literally watch it. You can watch Avatar The Last Airbender from the official Avatar The Last Airbender channel. Like you can watch Avatar. You can watch Avatar on YouTube. Like he's just lying. He's lying.
Feel the downgrade because you can't miss a thing you never knew existed. The emasculated versions of heroes don't feel like deflation because they never saw the peak. For them, Superman getting pissed on by a dog is the baseline, and it runs deep.
No, the baseline would be his own movie. Like, why is he now pretending that Superman 2025 doesn't exist? What is this?
Deeper than any single character because they're not just setting a child's idea of Buzz Lightyear or Superman or Luke Skywalker or Aang. They're setting the child's idea of heroes, period. Now consider what we said in part 1. If goodness is
This is
power
so
aimed
stupid.
and
Oh
controlled,
my God.
then a hero is a dangerous thing that chooses mercy. If every hero a kid meets between ages 3 and 13 is an insecure, fumbling, bumbling, declawed idiot that must be apologized for, our hero quietly stops meaning the guy who learns to choose to be good. No, heroes are just jesters with superpowers, and at that point, all
Okay, see, here's the thing. His reading of all of this shit is just backwards. He takes small character moments, like bits of levity, and says, this is the entire character. We can play that game too. He was talking about Avatar, right? Let's just do... let's just have... I'm sure there's some clips of Aang just being Aang, right? Let's just do Avatar, Aang, airbending. How about that? Let's see.
Aang, do some airbending.
Actually, I'm gonna mute it because I don't want to get fucking this thing clapped. I'm sure there's no moments of Aang being silly, because if he's being silly, then he's just a goofy goober. Oh, look, here's Aang. Oh, look, he just sneezed and the whatever. Oh man, he must be a fucking idiot. He must not be a real hero. Oh, look, he's smiling and laughing. He must not be a real hero. Uh-oh, Zuko just fell. Look, he did a pratfall. He must not be a serious character. He must be a joke guy. Like, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. Uh-oh, they made a joke with Superman. He must not be funny. He must not be a serious guy. He must not be a real hero.
Emotional attachment and meaning is lost. You don't have to teach a child to sneer at heroism. You just have to make sure they never once see the real thing, and then they themselves will not have any heroes to compare their own lives to. Nothing for them to aim at. What do you get on the other end of where there are no heroes?
Okay, he's doing a Matt Walsh voice. I want you guys to understand this. He's doing Matt Walsh. I don't know why, but look here. Here's Matt Walsh. Just Matt Walsh. Let's say kids. He talks about kids a lot. Like, just listen to Matt Walsh. Reviewing woke shows and Matt Walsh. All right, listen. Oh no, the birthright crisis. Listen to him. I'm gonna move this over here. We're gonna do a little back and forth. Listen to Matt Walsh.
About the decline in the birth rate and the rapidly increasing number of young adults who are refusing to get married and have children. As much as we discuss the subject, we still have not discussed it enough. It is one of the great crises facing our civilization at the present moment. When a society gives up on having children, it has given up on its future, it has given up on itself, and...
Okay, yeah. Now listen to this guy.
You get morally gray monsters. Augustine had a word for this 1600 years ago, and it's something we discussed before. Privation. Evil doesn't build. It doesn't need to. No, evil removes good and creates distance from good.
He's Matt Walsh. He's Matt Walsh.
Goodness. So whether or not any writer or Hollywood executive drew any of this on a whiteboard or planned for this to be the outcome, it doesn't matter. The outcome here is the same whether planned or not. A whole generation is getting its template for courage and good.
Okay, again, if he's trying to use the acolyte, Jesus Christ, it's obvious that her falling to the dark side is the bad outcome. That's the bad outcome, right? Her choosing to kill him in that moment, and she bleeds her saber and turns it red, is her choosing to be bad.
Goodness and what a man is even allowed to be from writers who think the entire concept of goodness is fraudulent. Be selfish, because if you could be selfish, or if we can indoctrinate your children to be selfish, it allows us to get away with being selfish. Because the people to challenge the selfish aren't there to know that being selfish is...
So he thinks if he just says the same word over and over and over and over and over, he makes a point. But he's made no points here. The only thing he's proven is that he likes to talk a lot about literally nothing.
Antithetical to being good. Today's media is not being made for you. It is being made
for your
to
children.
Erase you. At this
What?
point, I know many of you might find that what we've discussed here today seems hopeless and black-pilled, and I know that because I read many of your comments. But I'd like to resolve our discussion here with a call to action. I said earlier that the culture war was over and that you lost, and it's because stories are being told today that dismantle the value of stories across all of human history. This is not going to stop. They
You
are
never
making
proved that
hundreds
point.
more even right this very minute. It doesn't matter.
So what is your plan? Just don't watch movies? Just don't watch Superman? What is your plan?
If you personally are not seeing them, some people are. And if
Oh, well,
they're
shit, some people are
normies,
saying it.
They're walking away thinking they have a grasp on who Supergirl is. They see Rings of Power, and they think they understand Tolkien. They'll see the upcoming Narnia remake with a female Aslan the Lion that takes place in the era of rock and roll from Greta Gerwig, and think they have a grasp on C.S. Lewis. It's never going to stop. So no.
This is so fucking stupid because even the original movies, you could say that about them. Just read the book. Just read the book. Just read the goddamn book if you're this mad, right? Just read the book. Just read the book. All of his points right here. Everything is that they think they have a grasp on it if they watch this and this, and if they're normies. Dog, if they're normies, they're not basing their entire morality or their understanding of source material on a film, because normies understand that this is an adaptation. This is based off of a book. They know, for example, that Greta Gerwig's version of The Chronicles of Narnia is not the book version of Chronicles of Narnia. And they will immediately get that when they see it set in the rock and roll period, right? Because they know C.S. Lewis wasn't alive when that period existed. Because that happened like decades after him.
We lost the war, but the truth is we were never going to win that fight. They're too powerful. They own too much. We've given too many chances and too many freebies. The war over the studios, over Hollywood, over movies and TV and entertainment, over who gets to hold the pen on Superman this year. That war was never winnable, and it was never the war that actually mattered. I told you at the very beginning, there is no culture war over you. There is a culture war over your children, and that war rages on. And that's one that you
I don't have kids
win.
though.
And the fight is not out there. It's not in the comments section or the box office. It's in your house with your own kids. It's with your families, your nieces and nephews, your friends, your communities. We spent this whole video proving one thing above all the rest. Superman is not Superman because of Krypton. He is Superman because of Kansas. Because two people on a farm bothered to raise a deity to be confident and kind. It's your job to be Kansas. It is up to you to be the Kent family for the next generation. For the current generation, we turn to entertainment as a means of...
How can you use Superman's upbringing as a way to effectively talk about how other stories shouldn't be told? That doesn't seem like something Superman would be like super jazzed about.
Finding values worth embodying in our own lives. And it is time to start living them today, to be there for each other, to be a better father, a better brother, better son, better mother, sister, daughter, a better friend. You know the truth. You lived it. You got the best versions of every story worth telling in...
No, you didn't. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm writing a comment. Dog, this video was ass. I'm not gonna write that. This video was 30 minutes of someone failing to make God damn it, to make any coherent arguments. What kids are watching Game of Thrones or The Sopranos? You end your video with essentially raise your kids right, which is an empty platitude considering that you don't even understand your own definition of goodness. I'm sure all the comments exist or believe him, right? Like, God, this was awful. Oh, Ant did this too? Wait.
Planet with Leslie Nielsen as this Captain Kirk type character.
Nosferatu is
what did he say about this too?
Lazy attempt at making a video. You're not even gonna watch the movie or read the comic for that matter.
Oh, so I'm sure me and Ant have the same fucking opinion on this, but this is just terrible. Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't know this person existed. Like, this is all Ant did it yesterday and is plagiarizing me. I know. Damn, dude. this is such an insane film. There's no sorry, such an insane video. There was no coherent message at all. And also I'm seeing Ant was watching a different film, a different video. He was watching he watched both videos. Never mind. He did another video, but I'm not gonna watch that. But all of this real life fake wizard stuff was just lies. He's saying the live action Avatar replaces the other show. No, it doesn't. He's saying that we all got the best versions of stories. No, we didn't. There is no best version of a story, really. Objectively speaking, it's a story you resonate with the most or you like the most. There's some people who are going to think, live action Avatar is actually better than the animated one. There's some people who are going to think this animated film is worse because it's not drawn a certain way. But we didn't get the best versions of everything. We just got a version of something. I'm not going to watch the Harry Potter show because I don't support J.K. Rowling. But for all I know, that could be the definitive version of Harry Potter, where not only does it take all of this from the books and makes it much more streamlined and goes deeper, but it also gives characters who didn't give attention more attention. They could do that. I'm not going to watch it. That could be a definitive version, but it's not my version. And his complaints were so all over the place. You can't talk about Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Joker, and the same video where you're talking about Toy Story 5 and how children are being corrupted by amoralism. Most of your examples were films children aren't going to watch or should not be watching. And his whole beef with Supergirl, just an incorrect analysis of the entire film. I don't think he watched the movie. He must have saw it through TikTok. I don't think he watched the movie or picked up on anything thematically. Again, this is the problem. This is the problem we have when you have people who have no media literacy, who are all about the culture war, decide to open up their camera and turn on their microphones. The culture war is over. No, clearly it's not. Clearly it's not, because his biggest... For my vacation. Thank you. His biggest complaint was Buzz Lightyear walked down the aisle. Do you think... Here's another thing too. Do you think a movie a child saw when they were 8 years old is going to be the defining moment in which they set their morality and expectations? I grew up in a 2-parent household. I also watch Toy Story. I've also seen movies and TV shows where people do bad things. I watched Bad Boys when I was growing up. I've seen horror movies. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I watched movies where the bad guy is the main focus. My morality isn't built on the media I consume. My morality was built off my upbringing and internal motivators. Now, there is some media that aligns with my morals, right? Like superhero stuff, unironically, like Spider-Man, like Batman, like Superman, because they always teach you to do your best and try to do good. But because I understand that intrinsically, I can also watch a movie I can watch The Boys and not be like, wait, what? Now my worldview is topsy-turvy. They're coming after your kids. Yeah, through the fucking Sopranos. Through Game of Thrones, yeah. That's what the 9-year-olds are really talking about. And he mentioned... Oh, that scared me. He mentioned also personalized email to win. I don't know, man. But he also mentions again, they're coming after your kids. Sometimes they might be 13 to 15 or 16. If you're 13 years old and you watch Supergirl and now you think it's okay to go around killing people, your parents failed you, or you're a sociopath. Like, your morals are pretty set when you're like 13, 14, 15. Your understanding of things may be obviously changing, but like morals are pretty hard set. Like, if you were okay with murdering someone when you were 13, you're not going to suddenly be okay with it when you're 14 because you watched Lobo. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, what are you talking? This is like the same argument of the violent video games are coming. Video games aren't for you anymore. They're for your kids. And when they get their hands on Mortal Kombat, they're going to try to rip your spine out of your body. Because the gaming industry doesn't care about good. The gaming industry just likes evil. So they will make Mortal Kombat. They will make Street Fighter. They will make Invincible Versus. And your children who don't know any better because they didn't get to play the fucking Street Fighter 2 are going to think that it's okay to throw fireballs in the middle of the street. They're going to think it's okay to rip someone's spine out. Like, what are we talking about, dog? What are you talking about? That was such a stupid video. Oh my god. I can't believe he has over 100,000 subscribers. That was such a stupid fucking video. Jesus Christ, dude. Who sent that video to me? Hold on. Who cursed me to now know who this is? Okay, I see you in the Discord. You have ruined my brain further. I won't call you out. I don't think you're here. But you have ruined me because now I'm aware of who Fake Real Wizard is. Who's just an alt from Matt Walsh, right? We got it. He's Matt Walsh. Like, that's... I played at age 10 Alien vs. Predator. You can spear someone torso who won't hit the game. So I've been trying in real life. That's the thing too, right? Like, they always talk about children, like protect the kid, protect the kid, protect the kids, but they pretend as if they were never children in themselves, right? Like, when you were 10 years old, especially like my age, you were on like Newgrounds. Kids get into shit, dude. They just do. Kids get into shit all the time. But to be like the reason why morality is failing is because of Hollywood, how many movies do you even think children are watching? Because if we're talking about children, like under 10 years old, they see like 3 movies. Like, movies are expensive. They might wait till it comes on streaming, but if their parents are decent, they have them on child lock. They're watching like Mosca and the Bear. They're watching like Bubble Guppies. They're not watching Game of Thrones. Or they're playing Roblox. Like, the bigger concern for children are predators on Roblox and Minecraft, not fucking Woody getting made fun of in his 5th Toy Story movie. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, you're worried about the wrong thing. But you know, I think that one took it out of me. I think that was the one that took it out of me. Just holy shit. The fact that he's talking about how there are like basically no more heroes. And I'm like, Spider-Man's coming out this month. If there's any superhero who's always been about with great power, great responsibility, actively doing good, it's Spider-Man. And they've never changed that. They've never changed that about Spider-Man. In every Spider-Man film, he is doing good at great personal cost. He is doing good. So that defeats his whole argument right there. He's like, oh, when you were younger, you had Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, whatever. Guess what? You still have that now. Like, how can his argument be talking about how Hollywood remakes and remasters, and then he's talking about shit that were either remakes or remasters? Like, goddamn. And what about the X-Men? X-Men 97's out. I watched the first 3 episodes. I got to catch up on the rest of it. But like, season 2 at least. That's out. That's a great show. That has heroes in it, but it's dealing with things that are a bit more contemporary because those kind of issues that still persist. Kids can watch that. There's blatant heroes in there. The X-Men will always protect humanity. Like, that's so, it's so fucking funny, man. It's so funny to me. Oh man. I wonder if I'm gonna get reactions to those comments. Well, who knows? But this was supposed to be a short stream, so we're keeping it short today. There's a chance I might stream again tomorrow, but I'm definitely streaming on Friday. So go to the gaming channel. We are gonna be playing a game on the gaming channel. We're gonna be playing what's the game called? Love Eternal. All right. As always, I will drop the link to the gaming channel in the chat. I should probably link that to my account, honestly, but I'm bad at all this. But yes, last stream, in the gaming channel, we finished Eclipsium. So the whole game was up for you guys to watch on Steam. You can pretend you were there the whole time. This Friday, we will be playing Love Eternal. All right. You like my nails? Thank you. They're chrome. They're gel and they're chrome. But yes. Thank you guys for joining me this Wednesday. I know it's a random stream, but that's how we do things. If you think that guy is crazy, you should check out Indie Jim. I feel like you guys want me to die sometimes. I feel like you guys want me to just fully die. But you know what? Hey, put it in the Discord. Go to the Discord, go to the reaction section, put it in there, and I'll check it out. Why is my community my biggest ops? It's insane. I just told you guys this was Doomy, and they were like, hey, if you think that's bad, you thought AIDS was bad. Welcome to super cancer. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. But yes, I will see you guys. The stream's officially ending because I have the streamers ending up here and the music's playing. Have a good night, everyone. I will see you soon.